Good night, good night, good night, Barbados. Oh my goodness, it's been one entire week. One entire week, and I am so happy to be with you. This is the Marcia Week show, and we are coming to you live from Barbados. And this is Marcia Week's live and in color. How is everybody doing? Oh my goodness, it's good to see everybody. Junie Rock. Oh, Junie Rock says, good night. Lock on early. Can't miss the show. Not feeling great, so I might fall asleep. God bless. Judy, I know there's a little bug that is going around, and you have to be so careful and take care of yourself. Get some vitamin C and take care of yourself. Get some good rest. Lucinda Aline, how are you doing? Oh my goodness, I miss you all. Oh Lordy, Queen Bee, miss you. Miss you. Yes, thank you for the welcome back, Queen Bee. Bajan Boy, good evening. Loyal opposition, Jerome Walker make a written statement, but not in person. Anyone can write words on paper and say a person make a statement. I didn't see that statement. I'm just getting back into the swing of things. So you've got to send me that statement 236-7000. So, Bajan Boy, go ahead and send me that statement 236-7000. Mystic Angel, how are you? How are you, Jefferson Sobers? Yes, I can't wait to see you. I guess, Mystic, I have been so anxious to get on all day. Cecilia Miller, good evening. Monica, hi, Monica. It's me. Oh my Lord, I truly missed you all. And I know that Dr. Ferdinand did an amazing job. The times I got a chance to get on, I'm like, wow, he is on fire. Dr. Ferdinand, I'm telling you, he's a fantastic host and producer. I mean, he had those shows going, so well, and all the panelists, Castle Franklin, they were on, Kimar, Rose Carbin, Maxine McLean, Glenn Murray. Oh my goodness, they were on, and of course, Mr. Dave Weeks Ramin was making sure that everything runs well. So we just want to give God thanks to our entire team. We have a fantastic team, and they're there to take care of you, and they do a great job. Vernon Garns, good evening. It's me. Oh, I said it's me already. You're here with your peanuts and beer. It's me. Is it? Are you the one that's always drinking? It's me. Is here with his peanuts and beer, relaxing and waiting. Juliet, how you doing, Juliet? You have peanuts too, Juliet? No beers. Sir Alfred Benjamin, all the way from New York. Oh, how are you? Yes. Judy Jukes, Judy. How you doing, Julie? Judy, wow, your thing isn't coming. Judy just said good night, loyal opposition. Like and share. Welcome, Marcia, Maxine Rose, Cousin Ferdinand, and Kimar. Though not all of them will not be on tonight. Actually, tonight we're going to have, well, I'm on, and there is Caswell should be on, and Kimar should be on. And we are going to also have some guests. We have Ryan, the senator, is going to be on, and I have to look down because why it is that I always say the wrong name. I have no idea, and I said I'm going to write it down. So let me just look at it. Right, Ryan Walters. Oh my Lord, don't give me Ryan. I know so many Ryan Brathwaite's, and that's what's messing me up. Ryan Walters is going to be on with us, and we're going to have MP MAHIPAUL from Guyana. They're on, and they're going to be talking about the PAC, that committee that is it's set, the public accounts committee that is there to ensure accountability and integrity. And we're seeing a similar thing that is happening in Guyana. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Then we have VALENTINE, GITHAE, and VIVIANA WAMIRU from Kenya. And these are two Gen Z protesters, and they're going to give us an update on their demands, RUTO. And they're going to talk a little bit about the American election, not about who you prefer, because I know it is so contentious, it is so divisive. But we're going to talk about the impact of Trump, whether Trump win or Harris win on Africa and on the Caribbean. Okay, but we're not getting into talking about what we like about the candidates and we don't like about the candidates. Because listen, it have nothing to do with us. In the only thing is that you know how America sometimes try to get into our stuff, or we like to run to America. So you know there will be some impact on us, but this is not about who the people should vote for and who they should not. We're not voting. So we're not interested in that aspect of it because I know that it can be extremely divisive. Okay, so we're not going to get into all of that. And you know, and we of course Caswell is going to be talking about workers' rights and concerns and whatever else is on his mind. So he should be joining us at 7:20, right? Oh, Fabian Yard, good evening. Oh, well, Mystic Angel, I said good evening to you already. Cynthia Mong. Hi, Cynthia. How are you doing, Cynthia? Good to see you. Yes, yes, yes. Flo Joe Maloney. Yes. Yes, Dalton. Good to see you. Thank you, Fabian. Thank you. Thank you. Mildred Ben. Umar Amira. Good evening. Michael Harewood, good evening. Marcy, oh, good evening. Good night, loyal opposition, and good night to Judith and Clark. Yes, Dr. Ferdinand did an amazing job, and you're going to see him again on Monday. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Beverly Prescott, Remim. Listen, guys, you needed to share and to inform and educate others. Operation Rescue and Restore BIM needs all hands on deck. Opposition, fall in line. Yes, thank you, Judith Ann. Thank you. Senator Ryan Walters. Yes. Yes, yes. Teroni, welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to have you. Marlene Brathwaite, good to have you. Guys, are we liking and sharing? Monica Ince, good to have you. Oh, Roslyn Holder, thank you so much, Roslyn. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dalton. Good night, everybody. Oh no, the Cliff Restaurant. Well, no, 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 no. Like and share. Okay, guys, you've got to like up the live. Everybody, on Facebook, it's only 4 likes. How many likes do we have already on Queen McQueeness? Good night. Queen McQueeness, how many, anybody can tell me how many likes we have? Harriet Hall, good night, Harriet. Harriet is watching on Facebook. Good night, Harriet. I remember you. You're in Delaware. That's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But tonight, we have an amazing show for you lined up tonight, guys. It's going to be quite amazing. And we want you to like and share. Listen, would you believe, guys? Would you believe if I told you that it was on July 30th, 2023, that we started this series of show with Caswell and Maxine McLean and Kemar Stewart and Rose Corbin and but Glenn Murray came a little later on, Ferdinand Nichols. It was July 30th. It's almost a year. Huh? It is almost a year. Almost a year that we started this show in this way with Caswell, with our new panelist. You know, I would normally be the I've been doing it for I think it's 4 years, but the last year we started dealing with a lot of domestic issues, a lot of what's happening in politics, and all of that happened. All of that happened July 30th. July 30th, almost 4 days away will be 1 year since we've started. That's amazing. Yes, Judith. Yeah, yes, yes. And we have been with it. It's been a year now, almost a year, that we have been calling on the loyal opposition. We have been calling out the opposition. We have been saying to Barbados, you are the opposition. When we started, do you remember that we had no one in the opposition in Parliament? We did not have Ralph Thorne. We did not have Senator Ryan. We didn't have Senator Ryan, and this. What's wrong with me? Senator Ryan Walters. Let me write that at the top of my book and stop thinking Brathwaite. Senator Ryan Walters. We did not have Senator Ryan Walters at the beginning when we started out July 30th last year. Yeah, and we did not have Senator Tricia Watson. We had none of them, but we had ourselves, people. It was us. It was myself. It was you. It was Caswell. It was Rose Corbin, Ferdinand Nichols, Maxine McLean. It was all of us. And you know what we said? We made up the opposition, all of us, the 280,000, although sometimes they quote 260. But my friends told me that I needed to say 280,000. I still need to say that. I heard the Prime Minister say 260. But anyway, 280,000 of us, we said we are the opposition. You remember that? Yes, we said we are the opposition. And that is what was happening all that time. All that time. That is what was happening, and to think that we are here almost a year later. Do you think it's worth it? We're going to chat about that before we move on. But listen, we have a very, very special event that is coming up this Saturday. A special event is coming up this Saturday. Is sweet Cropover lime and fish fry, live music and food. And this is going to be on Saturday at 2 to 9 p.m. Free entry. Location is the George Street Auditorium, Belleville. Proceeds go to Oswald Newton. Oswald Newton. Now, Oswald Newton, for those of you who don't know who Oswald Newton is, let me just tell you who Oswald Newton is. Oswald Newton is a loyal opposition member and supporter. And he's an ardent supporter. He's from St. John. And I remember when we went to St. John, I mean, he gave so much financially to the project, to us being there, the roadside parliament. You remember that? He gave a lot to it financially. And not just that, he was helping to put up the tents. He was helping to put up the screen. He was doing all of these things. And then weeks later, he was on his job and he fell off the roof and hurt himself. He was in the hospital for a long time. And so somebody wants to know if we're going to have festival. I don't know. You have to ask the person who is putting it on if we're going to have festivals tomorrow. Oh Lord, I think is it Kimar? Dave has to tell me if Kimar is the one putting this on. But Oswald is a really, really, really true patriot. When I tell you, he's always sending encouraging messages, always on point. Always very encouraging, and not just some people. He doesn't miss a march. Oswald is so faithful. Oswald was coming to marches way before we even started, before July 30th, when we started the NIS marches. He was coming to the marches when I was part of the group doing the Watch Out My Children marches. You remember that? Oswald was coming to the marches then. Yes. Yeah. And he has not missed. I can't remember him missing any of the NIS marches or any. He would have missed some of the cybercrime marches because he wasn't well. But right now he's recovering. He's out of the hospital, but obviously not able to work as much. And so there is going to be a line for him, and it is tomorrow. It is tomorrow, 2 o'clock to 9 p.m. 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. is the lime. Saturday, July 27, 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. Is a sweet Cropover lime and fish fry being put on by Kimar. And the people of St. John, they're going to be there, and we need you to come. It's right there at George Street Auditorium, right there in Belleville, St. Michael. Yeah, Belleville. It's free entry, live music and food. Come and support Oswald. And throughout the night, I hope Dave will keep putting it up so we can always so that we can keep announcing it. Yes. All right, wonderful. It is so good to be back. Trinidad was amazing, guys. I had enough doubles. Well, that's not true. I didn't have as many as I wanted to have. I probably shouldn't have that many. But we had bus-up shots, and the children performed very, very well. This is the same piece that was disqualified by NIFCA, but was so welcomed by Trinidad. And it was very well received. We did 2 performances, packed houses, and up to today I was on the phone with them. They want us to come back, and it was awesome. There were 35 of us, a part of our team that went. Parents went, and students went, little ones. We had a little one up to 6 years old was there with us, and we represented God well, and represented the message well, and of course, you know when I travel, I rep the 246. You know that. You know that. It's 246 all the way, opposition, loyal opposition. So with that, we're going to go right into the anthem. And we want to play some calypso music for you tonight because we are in Cropover season. All right, so let us stand for the national anthem. Everybody, let's stand for the national Yes. We write our names on history's page with expectations great. Yes, we are writing our names on history's page. Now, we have been going now for, as I said, since July 30th. July 30th was the first time that we started those shows about the NIS and started to hold the government accountable. And we started to call on the opposition in Barbados. We started to say to the people that you are the opposition. We started to say to the people, stand up and fight. You remember that? It's almost a year. And, I'm wondering, sometimes you wonder, is it catching on? Are people getting it? I know I've caught on to it completely. I'm totally sold out with this. Believing that we need to stand up, we need to fight. I believe in the marches. I believe in the protests. I believe in the roadside parliament. I believe in the show, and we have been coming on 4 nights a week. We started that fateful day on July 30th, a Sunday evening. We started at 7 o'clock. You remember? Yes. And I want to hear from you while we wait on Caswell to come on. Has it been worth it? Do you think that Barbadians are learning to stand up a little bit more? I remember in the beginning days, we used to have Wake Up Barbados. You remember that? I would put up these little things, and I would say banners that say "Wake Up Barbados," time to wake up, stand up Barbados. You think that people are standing up? You think people are standing up? Do you think that is what is happening? You think that they're listening to the Marcia Week show and they're standing up? Do you all think that? Vihoy says I listened. It makes sense to stand up, and I want to single out Vihoy. And I don't want to say her real name because I don't know if she wants me to say it. You can WhatsApp me if I can say your real name, Vihoy. But Vihoy was one of those that I met her on the show. I met her as Vihoy on the show, and guess what? Out of the show, this woman was able to put on an amazing health festival here in Barbados. And yes, we had the rain, but when I talk about organization, and she was supported by someone else there. I don't know if I can say all these people's names. They have to tell me. But she and a couple of them from the US, and I think, I'm not sure if it's Canada as well, and right here in Barbados, and they put on an amazing festival, so well planned out, very, very thorough festival that they put on here in Barbados. And all of that, came from, yes, Valerie Hoyt. She said I can call her name, right? She told me on the phone. And she put this on in May, planned it with a wonderful team. Kathy Weeks from Barbados helped, and others, and from the USA and Canada. And coming out of this show 1 year ago, we started, well, a couple days, 4 days, 1 year ago, that we started to call on the nation to stand up and to do something in the Marcia Week show. We did that, Caswell and myself and Kimar and Maxine McLean and everybody, that all of the Dr. Ferdinand and all of us, we were pushing this message. And guess what? Valerie listened. And she heard about what was happening at QEH. She heard how people were sleeping on the floor. Yeah, this is the health festival that she put on. And we want to celebrate Valerie tonight, and the diaspora. And Valerie went ahead and put this on. Let me tell you, so much has happened since we have started. And I believe Barbados is waking up, because Valerie is Barbadian living in the diaspora. And this woman bought her ticket, and all the nurses she brought with her, and all the professionals that came down with Valerie. She brought down blood pressure kits, blood sugar testing kits. She brought down so many giveaways. I'm telling you. I mean, Valerie, I'm bigging you up tonight because I'm proud of you. I'm very, very proud of you that you are one of those that took all that you received from this show and all of your experience that you had even before you came to this show, and you created something so amazing and memorable in Barbados. Yes, and she says this is a team Sue, Rosalind, Wendell, Kathy, Sonia, Lisa, so many of them. And they did an essay and gave prizes to people, to children here in Barbados. This is wonderful, 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 wonderful. Oh, thank you so much, Valerie. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, the people are waking up. Can you tell me one thing that you've seen? So I'm telling you, I told you about the festival, the head festival that I saw happen, that was a direct result of someone being mobilized on the Marcia Week show. On the Marcia Week show, we say we agitate, we mobilize, we motivate, we educate Africa and its diaspora. And everywhere I go, people are telling me how much they're being educated on the show. Can anybody tell me one more thing? One thing else that one other reason why you think that Barbadians are waking up. I'm waiting on you. You talk to me tonight. I have not seen you in so long. When I say see, you know what I mean. We have not communicated. My wonderful loyal opposition. Oh Lord, we missed the marches and the roadside parliament. Oh my goodness. See, people asking for the festival, so that means we have to come out on Saturday, we have to come out on Saturday. Kimar is having it, and Hensy's DLP, and Hensy's having it at the George Street Auditorium. It's not being put on by the Marcia Week show, lest you say I am putting on events at the Democratic Labour Party. Not me at all, okay? Oswald is from St. John, and he is a DLP person as well, but he used to help us a lot, and he's not well, so we want to go and support him. Okay. Yes, anybody with any comments there? Yeah. Listen, you're gonna let me do this. You see how I dress up nice, Mr. John? You see how I dress up nice tonight, and they're gonna let me laugh at brawling. Look at the commentary they have on the screen. You let me laugh at a brawling laugh. I want to feel like a lady. Oh, wonderful, Judith. I like what Judy. Do you know I thought about you when I was asking this question? She says, yes, we're standing up. I am not afraid. And that's what I saw started to happen on the marches and at the roadside parliament. And I saw people were getting bolder. Honestly, I saw people getting taller. I saw people getting stronger, right? I saw that happening at the roadside parliaments. That's what I saw happening at the marches, yeah? And so I agree with you, Judy. I agree with you. And I know you love to dance too. Oh, Lord, she loves to dance to that song. She loves to dance. Not pretending. That's her song. That's Judy Ann's song. Okay. Judith and Clark said, yes, I think people are standing up and speaking up. There needs to be increased participation. Yes. And Judith, let me single you out and say that you were on my mind today. And for sure, we're going to talk tomorrow. I want to know how you're feeling, because I thought about that today, that I wanted to know that I'm back, because we spoke just before I left and you were telling me you weren't feeling well. And everybody knows that you took the jab, and in taking the jab, you according to your doctor, you might have injured yourself, and your health has been affected, and blood clots and everything, and it started up again for Judith. But you know what, Judith, once she's feeling well, and even when she's not feeling well, Judith tries to make it out to the even the marches, and we make sure we try our best to have her little seat in the front of the van, or she might drive in a vehicle in the back. But Judith tried to be there, and so she talks about participation. That's what she's talking about, and we're seeing more and more participation. So this is wonderful. And okay, I really want to read what you're all saying tonight. I want to read what you're saying, because it's good. Yes, somebody says we got Mr. Thorne on the show, and that was something. Yes, that was a very, very wonderful occasion, because we had been talking about opposition, Valerie, and we have been saying that even if one of them crossed the floor, you remember that, guys? Do you all remember? And with Caswell and Kimar, and we were saying these things, and Maxine McLean, and it actually happened. He actually crossed the floor and actually came on the show. And as he said, people said, why are you going onto a talk show, the YouTube? You need to go on CBC or whatever. But he came on our show. He came on, and I said, it's our show. The Marcy Week Show is a show for the people. And he came on our show. That was a big thing. Yes. Galby says the motorcades were a success in St. Joseph too. Yes. Yes. That was a big success. And we need to have some more motorcades. And as I was speaking about Mr. Thorne, I got distracted by Gelby's comment about the motorcades. Let me go back to what to VHoy. We are going to have Mr. Thorne on Sunday night. Okay. I contacted him while I was in Trinidad, because I peeped, I'm in Trinidad, but I was looking to see all that was happening in Barbados, and I saw all the bacchanal that was still happening here, and it had looked as though they cut his mic. CBC cut his mic. We don't know exactly what happened, but they could be very much trying to censor him. So I made sure I contacted him. I said, listen, you can anything you want to say, you can come on the show and say it. So he said, okay, thank you, Mrs. Weeks. And so he says he will be on Sunday, which is a great thing, because Sunday actually would turn out to be, that's a Sunday, because we came on a Sunday, right? And while Sunday is the 28th, it was a Sunday last year. The 30th was on a Sunday, and that's when we had come out for the first time. With Caswell and Maxine McLean and everybody else. Yes, and so he will be on Sunday. Nikki says, I believe it's affecting us on a more personal level. What do you mean by that, Nikki? I want to hear. I want you to type and tell me what you mean by that. Yes. VOI says the progress has been continuous. Yes. Anybody? Manasseh King, what are some of the achievements that we have made? July 30th would be exactly 1 year that we started this series of the Marcia Week Show, the evening series, because I used to just do 1 o'clock in the day. So we started the evening series at 7 o'clock, 4 nights a week. Actually, the first week was 5 nights. It was 5 nights. And then I'm like, this we can't manage this. And we went to 4 nights a week. And the 30th of July would actually be 30 days. Yeah. So Manny said, we're looking to see, have we made any inroads? We're calling on Barbados to stand up as the opposition in this country, to open our mouths, to open up our mouths and to speak out, open the mouth wide and speak out, open up and say what you want to say. And do you think that people are listening? Do you think that that is happening in Barbados? Yes. And Vihoy is saying a lot. We went to the people by way of the roadside parliament. Yes, we took it to the people. And we have been very successful. Oh, Manasseh is in Iceland. Good night, Manasseh. Yes, Nigel. Yes, we should do a review and development. We should put together a Zoom meeting. I agree. You see why I love to talk to everybody, because the ideas came from you all. The ideas came from you all. I got the roadside parliament. That was your idea. It was your idea, Barbados. Doing all those marches, it was your idea. When we wanted to take a break, myself and Caswell, the people said, no, we need the marches. It's your idea. It's really your idea, you know. It's your idea. Yes. Yes, Pete Way, Mr. Thorne is going to come back to the show. You're going to come, Mr. Clark, Mr. Thorne will be coming back to the show. Vihoy, I know you were telling me that while you were you were at the meeting in the in New York, and people were clapping for the Marcia Week show right there in New York, and saying how they learned so much. And I know you are in New York and saying you learned a lot as well. Yes, Liana Bell, yes, instrumental in getting policies revised and politicians to realize we are watching. I agree, Liana Bell. Liana Bell, they went back with the child protection bill, changed some tiny things, but we caused them to go back at things. They took back the cybercrime bill. There's so many things. They had to hurry up with the integrity bill, although it is not yet proclaimed. The point is that they know we are watching them, and we're watching them through this show. Yes. Manase says, I have noticed that this show has educated Barbadians about corporate and what it should be. I'm not sure what he meant by that. How to cooperate. It has further educated workers about their rights. Yes. About their rights. And yes, educating workers. A lot of education has been happening on this show. Lots of education. Yes, and we did talk about the Springer Memorial. Yes, yes. Let me tell you something. Listen, let me tell you, opposition, loyal opposition. Let me tell you something. You have been doing an amazing job. You are doing an amazing job, not just when you are here on the show, but at your workplace, because I know a lot of you're educating your workmates, you're educating those people you go to with at church and in the supermarkets. When you see people, you're talking to people, and that is so important. And it's important for you to allow people to know we're not here to spread hate. We're here to educate. We're here to educate. We're here that people would make an informed decision. We're here for people to make an informed decision on exactly what it is that they want to do, right, when it comes to the election. Wow. Corporate governance is what he was saying. Corporate governance. Yes. 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 We will continue to speak up. Yes, they pulled back on the digital ID cards. Yes, where they no longer said that you had to, if you didn't have it, then you couldn't function in society. And I know it came from what was happening online, through the show, through Lumumba and Bongo Lights, right? Through Lumumba's own show, through Winston Clark, through everything that we have been doing. So if we're going to be fair, let's make sure that we also mention all the other online broadcasts. Fred Corbin, everybody who has put their voices out there, and we have sounded our voices as a trumpet out there. You have typed a lot of stuff on WhatsApp. You have been working, and we have been seeing a lot of things happening, and so we have all been doing our work, whether it's on the show, we have everybody who come on, and as you said, we have the experts who come on, and I'm here waiting on Mr. Franklin. I don't know where he is tonight. Seems to be a little late tonight. Okay. All right. So he says he just walked through the door and he was trying to log on in a while. Yes, Bongo Lights, Lumumba, we got to give them their flowers. And that's the thing about it. That's the thing about this movement. That's the thing about this movement. And these are two brothers that I love dearly, Bongo Lights, and there's Lumumba. And they have been consistent. And I will give them their flowers. We're nobody here. We're not trying to jostle anybody and to be in the limelight and to take anything from anybody, because they contributed, of course, tremendously. Fred Corbin has done tremendously. Winston Clark has done tremendously. And all of everybody. And we have come together and formed one strong, formidable opposition And we have been drawing the people and bringing the people together. And I love it. Don't you love the unity? The unity, the way that we work together. I love it. And that is what is happening. What we miss, Winston is going to pick it up. And what could I forgot? Emmanuel was off for a little bit, but then he's back on politically incorrect. And everybody punching away. And it's so proud. I feel so proud to be a Barbadian. I feel proud because I see us pushing. I see us pushing. Together we stand. We were standing. We have been standing together. And we have been standing together. Yeah? We have been standing together as one man's children. Because we're all Barbadians. And whether we were in the diaspora or we were right here in Barbados, we were working together. We were working together to, yes, and Reverend Apostle Linra Scanterbury, who, of course, I need to get him on here as soon as possible. We haven't been able to, we've all been so busy. And I know I need to get him on, Margaret Greedy as well. She's pushing out on her Facebook page. Oh, yes, these two. I tell you, if there are 3 pastors that have been pushing is Reverend Scanterbury, Margaret Breedy, and Ferdinand Nichols. Am I missing anybody else? Who else am I missing? Yeah. Dale Real said this show have been given a wealth of knowledge, inspiration, and information that help the Barbadians empower and build themselves to break that enslaved mindset. More love. Yes. Yes. I am telling you, good night, Bali from the UK. Victory, Bali. Bali was here and he made sure that he was here. He was here. And let me tell you, this is Pastor Leacock has been standing up as well. Pastor Paul Leacock. People say to me, Marcia, you're not tired. Somebody said, you don't get any pay for what you do and you keep going. That's it. Marcia, listen to me. It is my joy because I feel a calling. I tell them all the time, I feel called to it. I feel called to it. Yeah. Yeah. I tell you, I feel called to it, and you feel called to this too. I know you feel called. And as Nigel says, we kick into a new gear. As we go into a new gear, folks, we have to look to see. Yes, the Reverend that spoke at the last roadside, that's Pastor Paul Leacock. Yes. If there's anybody else that I'm missing, let us honor them. We're going to give everybody their flowers. Everybody. So if there's anybody we're missing, please don't let us miss anybody tonight. Yeah? Don't let us miss anybody tonight. So let me address Nigel. Nigel says, Marcia, do you have a plan of action for government's passive resistance, surreptitious implementation of offensive policies on Barbadians? Now, Nigel, as you know how it goes on the show, it's not whether I have a plan of action. It's do we have a plan of action? Do we have a plan of action? So can we address Nigel's question? Do we have a plan of action? It can't be Marcia. It has never been Marcia. The marches that we've been having, you are the ones who wanted them every week, remember? And as tired as we all were, Dave and I made sure if nobody else was out there, Dave and I from the show, Dave and I, we were out there to support you because you wanted it. Yeah? So it's all of us. Yeah? Lynette, yes, Lynette. I forgot Lynette because Lynette was there with us in the very, very early stages. In the very early stages, Lynette was right there with us. You are so correct. You are so correct. Lynette, how can we forget her? Lynette was there in the early stages. Yes? Yeah. And folks, I'm reading your comments. That's yeah. It is the rise of the people. It is the rise of the people, Anika Hope. That's what is happening. That is what you know. I have to talk about. We're gonna go into a song. I hope Dave gets it ready very soon. It's by Kidside, who is actually in the finals. Kidside is in the final. They didn't put our girl Nika in the final, but um, um, Kidside is in the final, and Colin Spencer. They're both in the finals. Okay, and we're going to play his song this evening. But can I just say this one thing before we play the song? Sonia Brown, people. Dave, can you put up a picture of Sonia Brown? Sonia Brown. So how can we forget Sonia Brown? Did you see what Sonia Brown did? Sonia Brown got up. You understand me? And tell the people, listen, I will represent you. If you have a problem with your land tax, I almost fall down in my house when I saw it. I said, that's my girl. That's it. That's it. And this is what we mean, folks. This is what we mean. It doesn't matter which party you're from. Sonia Brown got it. She understands it. It doesn't matter. She's BLP. She's still with the BLP, but she's decided to stand up for the people. And that's what we're saying. That's what we've been saying on this show. That's what the loyal opposition is saying. We no business, we no party. They label us DLP. They call me all kinds of names. They say I work for the DLP. But this woman here, I tell you, I am so proud of her. I am so proud of her. And she stood up and she said, listen, if you have a problem with your land tax, come to me. I'm going to take on the government. I'm going to take them on for you. You believe that? I am so proud of Sonia. And I want to say that, I don't know, but I'm wondering if hearing Caswell Franklin come on here and expose everything on Bra and everything he had to say on the land tax, I wondered if there might be something from the Marcia Week show that prompted her and gave her that little impetus to step out there. I just wonder. And I love it. It makes me smile. And it means all the millions of dollars in the world. None of us get any pay to come on here. Nobody. But when we see things like this, that makes us happy. When we see people like this standing up. And this woman wasn't just standing up now, you know. She's not easy, you know. Trust me, she ain't easy. But on this matter of the land tax, I think she kind of pushed the envelope a little bit further. Don't you think? I think she pushed the envelope a bit further. Yeah. Yes. Now somebody said she was at the St. Philip Speaks and thing. I didn't watch it because I can't the voices of certain people I cannot manage. If Sonia spoke there, then please cut out her piece and send to me. But I can't listen to certain people. All right. But let's Sonia, take a bow. Everybody share the show with her tonight and let her know that we're bigging her up on the show. And we say, Sonia, yes, Sonia, we appreciate you and we're celebrating Sonia. Wonderful. Wonderful. All right, so let's hear a Kid Side song. Let's go right into Kid Side song. Yes, this is Dave just put it up. MP say, if you have a high tax bill, call me. Thank you, Sonia Brown. Thank you. All right. So let's go into Kid Side song, and then Mr. Franklin is getting himself ready. He's gonna come on.
It goes viral, man. Social media and the camera does cause confusion in this little nation. Social media and the camera exposing everything that used to be hidden. We always had malicious people minding people's business and causing trouble. But nowadays, The new normal is to expose everything and let it go viral. A man licked down off a motorcycle, all on the road, blood start to trickle. Before they lift and carry to the hospital, they lift up the phone and it gone viral, viral. A man get shoot down, viral. He dead on the ground, viral. While this going on, police get put out the police station. Viral. It's worker fever, viral. But worker price is higher. Viral. Big potholes in St. Jude's. Around Kensington, the road smooth. And anything you know that is not normal, man, anything you know that is sensational, man, anything you know that is controversial, man, they put it out to the world so that it could go viral, viral. Torn across the floor. You don't want me anymore, but then you tell me so. Me so easy come, easy go. Social media and the camera does make some people happy and make some bitter. Social media and the camera, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Twitter. We always had malicious people minding people's business and causing trouble. But nowadays, things gone technical. Maliciousness gone international. A man swimming down by pebbles, he starts struggling, he get in trouble. Before they send for the lifeguard people, they send the video and it gone viral, viral. 2 men get shoot down viral. In the potato ground. Viral. It even went viral how a man searching for a missing cow. Viral. The fight at the funeral, a prisoner escaped from the hospital. Viral. Neil Rowe in trouble, but I ain't saying nothing cause afraid like bull. And they don't care about nobody's feelings. Man, them don't care that it don't look appealing. All of them care about is to get and revealing the whole thing to the world so that it could go viral. Sleep jacket want turn to go, but sleep acting like he is Barrow. They had to meet him block, so it went viral when they crack off the locks. Social media and the camera exposing all of the world secret seas. Social media and the camera, CNN, Fox, BBC, and CBC. Then I study all the coal and the minerals from Africa, France, and England tech. And when the police put the knee in the black man neck, it went viral. Black man don't get no respect. One of women got to be careful. They walk up in the set, it is normal. They walk up in the road, it's the festival. But if they walk up in the church, they can go viral. A man in a coffin, the wife and the woman fighting over him. The preacher outside woman, block the church and then the sermon. Comedian joking, a girl in a t-shirt twerking. This had people annoyed to see a little school girl pushing back on a boy. And anything you know that is not normal, anything you know that look despicable, man, anything you know that is controversial, man, they push it out to the world so that it could go viral. Barrel wash where ice things. 6 men and Hastings. I can't believe it. The Johnny Roger sink like the Titanic. Viral. 2 man holding hand. Hugging up in Bridgetown. A man on stage behind a woman. Lift she and drop she like Hulk Hogan. 2 girls fighting KFC. I thought over regular Exa Christie. But a man correct me. It was over Admiral and over Ronnie.
yes. That one is nice. That one is nice. Good night, Mr. Franklin. How are you? I can't hear you.
Sorry, I had it muted. Sorry about that. I am good, I just got home. I got home at 24 minutes after 7. So I I bathed this I came on.
I know
I'll do
that
the,
kind
I'll
of
do the
way.
rest later.
You dare not stand up. You dare not stand up. Oh
Yeah.
wow. Yeah.
But I wanted to. But anyhow, before I do that, good night, everyone. I'm just happy to be here again. And Marcy, I'm so happy to see you.
Thank
Freddie is not
you.
bad,
Good
but
to be here.
we love him and stuff. But we always love to see you here. So
Well, I miss you all so very much. I tell you, I was here at 4 o'clock waiting to get on. And thank you so much, Mr. Franklin. People don't understand the level of commitment that these panelists all put into the show. And sometimes I will get a chance to peep on, you know, while I was away, and just to see everybody, Mr. Franklin, putting everything in. They're 100% making their presentations. You were on every single night. And on behalf of the people of Barbados, I want to seriously honor all of you, because really this is so much bigger than the Marcia Week show. It's about education, it's about motivation, it's about mobilization and agitation, and you've all committed yourselves to that. You just got in from work, people, and he just literally put down his bag, and he is right here. And I can guarantee he didn't eat yet, right? And he's right here.
I had a mango ice.
He had a mango. So I want us to understand. And so I want you to share. Help us, please. Help us. There's so many, persons, Mr. Franklin. They try to get us all the way down in the feed. And so we need you to like the show. We need you to share it. Be our helper. Help us to get it out so that more persons can be educated. We're only at 576 and we've been on almost an hour. So we need your help in getting the word out. Okay. Well, Mr. Franklin, what is on your mind? I know
Well,
I heard you.
I have
Yeah,
two things on my mind tonight that I want to talk about. I want
go
to
right
talk
ahead.
about um St. Philip Speaks. I
Yes,
sent something to Dave that he can put up for me because I
yes,
I just want you to listen to this lady and realize that she has no moral minimum, and the truth is something that she manipulates to the best of her ability, and if she can avoid it, she would, and she does. I am very sorry, but to say these things, but I can't help. Dave, just put it up for us and let me see.
yes. I, I,
Because
I believe once you sent him, he's probably adjusting it to get
I,
it
I,
to get
yeah,
it out.
I spoke with him. He has it.
Okay.
Look, I remember when they spoke about these problems at Bra, I pointed out that these were not increases in taxes that were done legally. These were things that were done by an individual in Bra. He lowered people's taxes. He raised his, he raised other people's taxes. When people then objected, they would go out and work for an independent valuer.
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, they would have valued the person's property upwards.
Yeah.
Then the person will object. They say, well, you need to get a valuer. And they will suggest the names of a valuer, an independent valuer that they can go to.
Yes.
Not, and the people do not know that they were the persons working for the valuer.
And you said that on the show. You went
Yeah,
through all of that on the
yeah, and
show.
they did, and they came back and make money because they work for the valuers. It is corruption. Now the prime minister is saying, well, listen to her. He's saying it's a mistake. It's not a mistake. It's an error.
Uh-huh.
This is a cover up. But please, they've hit it.
Play it, Dave.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Peter Bradshaw, and I'm from Sanford. And I've noticed some very strange things going on in Sanford. and Maps and Ruby in regards to land tax. I am starting to wonder if the people on agricultural lots are going to be penalized for using them for their intended purposes. It would appear that people that are buying agricultural lots and just using it as a large house spot will be taxed as a residential area, and the ones that are actually doing farming will be taxed as a commercial property. So my land tax will go from $320 to $4,500. How do I compete?
My understanding is from the Revenue Authority that there were some issues where they literally have had mistakes with the assessment of some of the houses whose dwelling houses and rates were changed on agricultural lots. They are currently reviewing that now, and I think Sonia, the Revenue Commissioner, spoke to you as well too. So they are going through that. In addition to that, I am almost certain that there was an agricultural rebate. That there was a rebate for those who are genuinely farming.
Or 50%.
Exactly.
So instead of $320, I would pay $2,300.
No. But what I'm saying is that that is if there was not a mistake with what they've done with you. So I need to be able to find out, and I can't tell you that, but what I do know is that there was a mistake with the categorization with a number of properties with respect to moving them in the categories, and that the updated bills will be reissued by the authority to reflect the rates that would have been associated with the previous category. So suffice it to say, I can't speak to your individual issue, but I have spoken generically. Right, I've spoken generically.
My house is being frozen by BRA.
So I don't know what frozen means, but
well,
whatever
I can't sell it or use it as collateral because I owe land tax.
Right, so therefore, whatever it is, we will investigate it on an individual basis, but from a collective perspective, I've spoken to what the Revenue Authority has indicated to both Dr. Brown and to myself. Okay?
Okay, so I can...
So on the individual matter, then we can look, because I don't know what you mean by frozen. I can't imagine that it's frozen for 1 year, land taxes, and I can't imagine that they would put it...
or sell a property unless you can get a clearance from land tax saying you
right, but the point is that if they are issuing new bills, as has been communicated with me and others, and William, who's communicated with you too, then you have to wait and see, sir. But I can't tell you off the top of my head, because the one thing I do not do as a politician is get into people's tax businesses. I set tax policy. I do not execute tax bills, whether it is VAT or corporate tax or income tax or land tax. So I would suggest that you give us the information and we ask the Revenue Authority to address your matter individually. Yeah? And that way, any attempt or any perception of there being a freeze on your property can be removed. Okay? Thank you, sir. Who's next?
Marcia, that sounds good.
Dave, put it back on the screen, but keep it there because we need to go back. Keep it, put it back on. Continue. Go ahead.
That sounds good, but it is not the truth. First of all, she said that they were put in different categories. No such category exists. They just decided on their own at BRA to change a category to increase taxes for some people. No minister, no order from the House, no order, nowhere. They just decided that they're going to do this to some people. Now, before the Prime Minister said, who the hell tell you to do that? You don't have any such authority. She is there covering for them. You remember when we spoke about, but before you get there, only this week in the House, the Prime Minister was there last week. She was there saying, that's why if I was on the board, I would not sit with her. Last week, she was saying that people criticize these things, even some person of among us, well, of course, it was only one person among us that criticized the land. That's it was Sonia. And she was saying, You know, but if you change these taxes, you know, you got to compensate from somewhere else because, you know, you can have some impact on the services and that kind of stuff. That is not money that the government ever planned for. So don't tell me that you looking forward to it. You don't have a category to tax people at that rate for people who live on their lots. The rate, they say over 2 acres, and if you have over 2 acres and you farming, there's no such category as we speak unless you did it today. There's no such thing. So that was something made up by one man in Bra. The unfortunate thing is the revenue commissioner has no knowledge of land tax, income tax, but she got the job based on who she was and who she is and who she knows. So she has to rely on people like Kevin Dale Carter to advise her, who gave her bad advice. And that man has done so much wrong at Bra, and everybody is, but of course now he is the one-eyed man in the land of the blind. So the commissioner can protect him, and the prime minister protecting the commissioner. These things did not happen. She said she sets tax policy. Well, there was no policy in place for what they did, and she should ask them why. No, but they're coming for just like the one where the lady who was responsible for enforcement when people do wrong things and not pay the proper tax. Her house was lower to a value way below what it should be, way below the neighbors who had houses half the size she had. And the prime minister was heard to say, that it was because her house was in a flood-prone area. Now, if my house is in a flood-prone area, I dare say my immediate next door neighbor who live a few yards away from me would be in a flood-prone area too. So why isn't going down? And she allows people to give her bad information. She does not analyze what is happening. I don't know if she's capable of analyzing. That's another thing. So she just come out and spout whatever people tell her without thinking, and it makes sense. And then people go on and say, oh, the prime minister came and cleared up. She did not come and clear up anything. She has now make it so muddy and cloudy as though it's worse than it was before. She should have said to the people of Barbados, we got problems at Bra, we need to fix them. There is too much corruption at Bra at very senior levels. You know, you got people who just will go and change your land because you don't like you. You don't have to like me. You just have to apply the law to me. And if you're gonna apply it to me one way, you're gonna apply it to my neighbor the same way too. And she goes off and she make these statements without, I don't know, but I can't say about checking. I don't know if she checks, and because these people are her friends, she tries to cover for them, or she generally does not understand what she's talking about, but she likes to talk. You know, from the instructors they talk a lot, and people say that you don't talk, but she's talking, and when she's talking nonsense. Yeah. And the thing is, because she is who she is, people will tend to believe her. It is not the truth. What she said in that clip was totally untrue. There were no problems, there were no mistakes at Bra. It was a deliberate act. They did that because the IMF has said to government that you have to collect a certain amount of money at Bra when the month comes. And they decided, but look, you know something? We can make our targets because IMF give them targets. So someone wise guy in there decide, well, I can share some people land so that we will help meet the targets and stuff. That is not his responsibility.
I believe that, Mr. Franklin.
But that is what happened.
I'm sitting here. I mean, I, as you know, accounting is my background, and I'm looking at the kind of increases. If somebody was paying $320, Mr. Franklin, and it's now paying $2,300, and there's
No,
nobody.
that is 50% of the tax. That $2,300 is 50% of the tax because he's farming. So if you apply to the Ministry of Agriculture to be recognized as a farmer, then the Revenue Authority would say that you are because you got this farming thing from Ministry of Agriculture, you get a 50% rebate on your taxes for being a genuine farmer.
Right.
The problem here is when Sonia went to Bra because to question hers, the same man told her to apply for a farmer's rebate, but she said that she's not a farmer. She got a couple of coconut trees, 4 dogs, and 20 chickens. She's not a farmer. But they insisted that she go to get her taxes lowered. Because, and then they will go and apply even before the Ministry of Agriculture. And if somebody from the Ministry of Agriculture came and said that she was a farmer, that person should be subject to some disciplinary action because she was not. And she says so in the House. But they wanted her to pull back to stop her from talking. But I'm glad that she said she can talk for everybody.
Well, as far as I remember, I'm here speaking to someone to tell me what was some of the increases, because someone I know had called me and said that their land tax went up over 100%, Mr. Franklin. And if what I'm saying, everybody who's listening, all of you, almost 700 of you listening tonight out there, let's use our common sense, Mr. Franklin. You're working in a department, okay? And someone has been paying $500, say, a year in land tax. And you see 500, then all of a sudden it went up to 1,000. The average person, anybody who's dealing with numbers, they don't have to know anything about taxes, Mr. Franklin. Anybody they will notice that there is a change. So you're telling me that there is nobody that reviews, that takes a look to see people's tax bill before it goes out. Somebody, Dr. Sonia Brown's was 3,300 and it went to 8,300. And it's taking them so many months to realize that something is wrong. It's very hard for me, let me put it like that, to believe that this is a mistake. The real bill should be 3,200, and it moved from 3,300 to 8,300, $5,000 more, and you're telling me nobody in that department can look and say something is wrong? No, something is really that nobody believes this. Nobody. The numbers, if it moved, Mr. Franklin, from 32 to 3,300, I can understand, but not $5,000 increase. That is not how any department is run. And if that is how BRA is running their department, based on what you have said, Mr. Franklin, and what we are seeing here, then under any normal circumstances, that person needs to be fired, Prime Minister, unless you are also part of the corruption. Go ahead, Mr. Franklin. I won't take any more of your time.
No, but the thing is, we need a system in Barbados where politicians will come out and tell the truth. If, I find that their default position is to lie. They lie and then, it's America to tell the truth, they don't really hurt, but they just decide they're going to lie first. What should have happened here is the Prime Minister now acknowledge that somebody did something wrong. I don't have any authority to deal with people who break the rules. Because if they're a civil servant, there's a service commission for that. And if there's at the statutory board, there's a board for that. And she shouldn't get involved. But rather than do that, she comes there and provides a defense for them. And a defense that does not make sense. Something has to happen. Because he claimed that he did it on the instructions from, they call this not town plan anymore, they call it another name. And they now claim that they never gave such instructions. He was lying. He actually put that in writing and sent it out. That it was because that the well, I can call it town planning because I really don't remember the new name. That they had changed the values. So they only operating based on the values that town plan. No, they operate under the Land Tax Act, not any such thing to do with town planning. And they got to follow the regulations to suit. He made it up. But see, but it sounds good. And people might believe, oh, okay, but he's only following the law. No. What this is, somebody call it highway robbery. It is robbery without violence, but it is robbery nonetheless. They don't use a gun, but they're robbing you. And people are benefiting. People at Bra are benefiting. Because this is not, you know why he was able to do this so quickly and suddenly? Because they were doing this for years. The individuals. I know a guy called Lee. Lee had a property valued over $2 million. He had some problems and and the land was supposed to be sold. And they lowered the value to $1 million. This is in addition to another one they did for an attorney at law. So there's two people that I know who have their properties cut in half, values cut in half, outside of the 3 year, because every 3 years they do a revaluation. This isn't a 3 year nothing. This is something that somebody pick up and go and revalue your land outside of the legislative period because they want to make money or they're doing somebody a favor. This guy with the attorney who was divorcing his wife, he didn't want to pay half of the value of the property. So he got it changed from $2 million to $1 million. So if it's $1 million, he's going to pay her $500,000, as opposed to $1 million that he would have had to pay her if people at land tax didn't change the values. And you think they did that for free? You really feel that they went and put themselves at risk for an attorney in Barbados for free?
Yeah.
Just because they went to school together. But I can assure you, he went to school in Barbados. So he in the school friend of the body. So something went wrong there. Rather than the Prime Minister deal with these issues, she comes and covers up. Because when you start searching around, you're going to find problems. I still don't want that because I came late and I want to start deal with something else. I want to talk about.
I have some people coming in that we have to discuss some stuff with them at 8:30. Okay?
I have my delegate to come in and talk too.
I
have a delegate. You will see who my delegate is when you come in. The only today I opened my email. It came someday before it went to junk. And I just skimming through my junk. I noticed that there is now some new policy, proposed policy, to deal with some nonsense that the Prime Minister spoke about during the budget, but giving people personal days and low days and all kind of stuff. These things exist already in law. So she ain't giving the body anything new. What she has done or what they're proposing to do or what the people have advised her to do, because these are civil servants coming up with this nonsense that she comes with something before they tell the Prime Minister, hold it, we got these things already in place. No, they come up with a policy. Now, the one that really bothers me is the one for the low days. Right? I'm not going to read it for you because low time is defined as paid time off, which is granted to an officer for hours work in excess of normal working hours, if normal working hours specify 8 hours instead of a monetary award. They say if the officer is scheduled to work for a period of 8 hours and work beyond that time, currently a minimum of 3 hours or more, the officer may be granted low time.
Mm-hmm.
We have signed, when I say we mean Barbados, we have signed a convention with the International Labour Organization on the 8th of May 1967. It's called the Protection of Wages Convention. Mind you, let me be very clear, we had the Protection of Wages Act going back, I think it is 1951 or 52. I can always double check for you. The reason why we had an act and we didn't sign the convention because Barbados was not independent. So only England could have signed conventions for us.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Grantley Adams, who fought for workers as opposed to the party that he used to lead and help found, they're not interested in anything with workers. They're just interested in, I'll tell you, they are more interested in people who got money, not the workers. And they decide that we can pass a law along the lines of the convention. So we put that law in place. Mind you, when Barbados became independent in 1966, as soon as possible after that, May 8th, 1967, Barbados went and signed a lot of those conventions that we could not sign before and expect to be bound by them. No, that convention, the Protection of Wages Convention, provides, I don't want to mislead, so let me just open my thing. Article 2 says, this convention applies to all persons to whom wages are paid or payable. And this convention has been incorporated into our laws now, right? And then Article 3 says, wages payable in money, wages payable in money shall be paid only in legal tender. And any form, payment in any form, or promissory note, voter or coupons, or other legal or other form alleged to represent legal tender shall be prohibited. Our act says you can only pay in legal tender. And payment by any means, other means, is illegal, null, and void. So you cannot, like in the old days prior to the prior to having this law in place, on the plantations, the plantation will tell the people, look, we ain't got the money today to pay anything, so hold on for this bag of cut yams. And if we get yams, you gotta go and sell some and eat the rest. No money. That was made illegal in Barbados. So you gotta pay with money. Also, one of those conventions is that, remember, you had the Jumble Bar, remember? But you remember, but there's a bar, very guy, before we had the harbor, the guys who used to row the boats out to the big ships to bring in the cargo, the so-called lighters, they would get paid handsomely by Barbados standards, but the people who owned the Jumble Bar also had the contract for the lighters. So they used to tell the people, come over by the shop and get paid. So they first to spend all the money at that shop before it was a bar, before they get home. So the law says, and along with the convention, you cannot pay somebody in a rum shop. It's against the law to do so. You see, so it was to make sure, unless you're working in a rum shop, you can't be paid in a rum shop. Because a lot of people a lot of mothers didn't get any money for their children when they fell back and get some rum. So we were enlightened in the 50s and early 60s, as opposed to this monster that we have as a government in Barbados now. They are now saying to you that if you work, actually work, because the act says if you must be paid legal tender for work actually done. Now, pray tell me, I work 4 hours overtime. That's 4.5. That's time and a half. That's 6 hours pay. Now you're going to give me back time. No, you can't give me back time. Simply because time is not an asset that you have that you can pay me with. When I work for you, I give you my services, and you are supposed to pay me with an asset that belongs to you. Unless you name God Almighty, you don't own the asset called time. So you're giving me back time does not allow me to go to Popular, and they can tell Bertram, I went to Popular and I went to work overtime. So here's the time. He will laugh me out of the shop. You gotta pay people in money. So the government always comes up with ways not to pay the people at the lower end, because the senior public officers don't get overtime. So it's only the people at the lower level that will get overtime pay. I know you won't find a way to tell me that you're going to give me back time. You know, lieu days in the general orders are for people who, well, they call them lieu days, but they're not supposed to be given lieu days. They're supposed to pay people. But what happens? There in the general orders, they say the lieu days must be added to your vacation. So if you work a bank holiday, when you, like, you know, people, immigration, police,
Right.
prisons, those people who have to work regardless, because you can't shut the prison on a bank holiday, you can't tell the police what's a bank holiday, so they're not going to work today. So people who work on a bank holiday, the general order say that it must be added to your vacation. But no, we don't add it to your vacation. We tell people you're going to take it within a week or you lose it, or you're going to take it within a month or within the next couple of things. They only extended the time for you taking it in breach of the rules rather than pay you. General Order 537.2, the days off for which an officer or employee is eligible will be credited to his normal vacation leave and be granted at the convention ministry or department during the year. So that is what lieu days are all. Let's just give you the days to know they're supposed to put it on your vacation, and those days will be added. So if you have a vacation at 30 days and you work 4 bank holidays, your vacation will be 34 days this year. That's what the general order says. Not what they are coming, these fancy young civil servants who get jobs at a higher level and advise the prime minister or not, because the prime minister comes up with something and these things are requested, mind you, they are requested by people like the Barbados Nurses Association,
Right.
and who do not know the rules and don't know that already got rules existing for these things, and the prime minister, they have the prime minister's ear. So they listen to the prime minister comes up with some foolish policy that don't need to exist, because there is already legislation dealing with it. So now you're going to tell me, instead of paying me my money, you're going to give me time off. Same thing, and well, while we're at it, I can't forget the prison officers. Prison officers have been working.
We have 3 minutes in this segment, okay? And then we're going to try to go
so
back.
let me do my 3 minutes fast. Prison officers have been working since COVID for 12-hour shifts. You're only supposed to work 8 hours. 1 week you work 3 days, and the next day you work 4 days. So every month you work 4 and 3, 7. You work overtime every week. 1 week you work 4 hours. You work 4 hours every day. 4 3 is 12, and the next day you work 3 days, and that's three. So what happens? Instead of paying officers now, they're not paying them, and then after all this time, after working all these hours, they're telling you that they're going to give you 8 hours a month for every month that you work. And they're saying that they don't have enough officers. That's why they have to do it. But that is not true. They got more than enough officers, and they're recruiting more. But the problem is you have at least 15 officers in the prison who don't do any prison work. They find jobs for them, call them, and tell them one sergeant, she's responsible for leave. That's a clerical officer work. That has nothing to do with you pay about a level. You got the health and safety officer, the superintendent secretary is a temporary officer. They don't need any more prison officers. You just need to deploy the people. You have too many people who don't come into contact with prisoners, but you're forcing other people to work 12 hours a day, and they're not paying them.
Well, you know, Mr. Franklin, before you came on, people were saying how much they learned from you on the show about workers' rights. You know, what is required of them in the workplace, and what they should require from the employers in the workplace. And this is one of them, because I'm learning so much. The part about the prisoners is something that you have been crying out about, and I can't understand how at the end of that they're going to pay them
Eight
pay them
hours.
8 hours. That
Problem.
doesn't make any sense, you know. And so it's something that we have to. I mean, the Kenyans, what the Kenyans did, Mr. Franklin, the Kenyans got up and decided that they were going to, they're going to take things in their own hands. They're not going to wait on the government. They're unhappy. These are things that have been happening in Barbados, from, you know, we've been, since we started, you've been talking about these kinds of issues. I'm longing to see the day, Mr. Franklin, when we have some kind of protest, something happening inside of Barbados, as what happened with them in Kenya. I'm hoping that we'll be able to see something like that happen, and it's not just talk, because we're on here talking. I want to see that's something we can pick up on, Mr. Franklin. I want to see some action, some things happening. But we have two lovely ladies here, Mr. Franklin.
I noticed.
And they are from the motherland, and one is wearing, oh my God, you're giving me goosebumps. Are you both wearing the Kenyan flag?
Yes, we are.
Oh my Lord. Man, I want to put on my page and flag, but I don't think it can reach around me. My page and flag can reach around me. But you know, oh, you give me goosebumps with that. I'm a very patriotic person, and I picked up on those flags one time, that you had those flags draped around you. Oh my goodness, this is awesome. Well, tonight, people, we have Valentine GITHAE.
Yes.
Valentine, and who is Valentine GITHAE? Yes, you just said yes. Good night, Valentine.
Good night. How are you?
I am wonderful. I am wonderful. It's so good to see you all. And we have with us Viviana WAMIRU. Hi, Viviana.
Hello, how are you?
Great. We're doing great. And listen, we are here in Barbados. You know, we know the Kenyan flag. Do you know the Barbados flag?
Yes, I
Yes.
do.
Yeah. Yes,
Yes,
we
I
do.
Mr. Franklin, they said they know the Barbados flag.
Well, at least that is because it might be flying in Kenya. The one in Guyana was buried.
That's an inside joke. You wouldn't ever understand that. But ladies, have you ever been to Barbados?
No.
No, I have not. No.
No. Nobody has
Well, you
been
are
to
welcome to
Barbados
come
as
anytime.
yet.
I'd love to come though. It sounds wonderful. It sounds lovely, you know. I'd love to come visit one day.
Yeah, Mr. Franklin, can you give them one good reason apart from coming to see you? Give me one good reason they should come to Barbados.
I can find a better one, but you know, it will open your eyes to see how Africans live in this part of the world. You know, and we will, and you come to teach us too. You know, because we want to learn from you. Because we call ourselves African, because originally our foreparents come from Africa, but we have lost a lot of our tradition.
Yes.
So come and see how we live.
Yeah, I hear Barbados is beautiful.
Oh, it is one of the most beautiful places on God's earth.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful place, and you know, we're so inspired by you guys. You know, you are young people, and this is somebody here on here. He's not a young person, and he says, "I'm hoping I'm willing to be like a Kenyan Gen Z." And there are lots of us who you could be our children, and we look at you and we admire you, and we would like to be just like you guys, because we have so many issues in Barbados. We were just talking about it, a land tax, which we don't even understand why we're paying a land tax, and then they are you know, committing a lot of there are a lot of issues with it, where people are being overcharged, sometimes all 200%, 300% more. They're robbing the people here in Barbados. Our Prime Minister, you might know of her, Mia Mottley. It's her government, and she is so close with RUTO, you know. Her and RUTO are very, very tight. and they are robbing the people in Barbados. The only difference is that we are here watching how you guys, what you guys have done in Kenya. So, but Valentine, can you give us an update of
Yeah.
what is happening in Kenya at this time?
Right now, as it feels like we're trying to just re-strategize and not be discouraged, because some of the things that we had demanded during the protest, we have not really seen them happen. We had,
Mm,
as the Gen Zs, we had requested the government to um, fire everyone from the cabinet and not reshuffle. As it stands right now, he has nominated some members who he had fired back,
mm-hmm.
and these are members who are have cases of corruption. We have one minister who's had allegedly been involved in mining stuff, illegal mining, and he's been nominated to be a cabinet secretary for mining. Okay.
Wow.
Yes. So we feel like we're not being heard. The police who had done the killings, the killer police, we have not seen them being arrested. They still continue to arrest us. Boniface Mwangi, a very prominent political activist, has been arrested, and they're still continuing to kill us. Not everyone who has been abducted has been released yet.
Mhm.
So there's still so much tension, and as it is, still the political climate has changed, because in the beginning, as Gen Zs, we had so much support, but our movement got infiltrated by goons who are paid by these politicians,
Mhm.
and these goons are destroying properties and doing all these things. So there's like so much confusion and doubt, but we are still mobilizing on TikTok and on Twitter, on X, trying to strategize and think of the way forward. Yeah.
Yes. So you're saying that the promises that were made, especially with the cabinet, the Ruto is yes, he did fire everybody, but then he's putting back people in place. So it was just a gimmick. You think it was just a gimmick? And
Yeah.
then you have people. There are some people who have now infiltrated the protest by the Gen Zs and creating a real problem there in Kenya. Let me hear from Viviana. Viviana, do you were you in you're listening to Valentine, and you're I'm sure hearing all of the things that's happening. Do you think that it was wasted? All of your efforts were wasted um, there in Kenya? Do you think it was wasted efforts by the Gen Zs?
Absolutely not. If anything, I feel like this was a wake up call for everyone in the country, first of all. And what we've managed to do is change drastically the political landscape that's currently in the country. We've
Mhm.
shifted a lot of the mindset in our people that we cannot just sit back and continue to be oppressed by people who we're supposed to look up to and who are supposed to represent us in these positions in power. And I was able to pop in and out in earlier in the live stream, and I heard you ask, when will people in Barbados, for example, wake up? When will they realize that, they need to stand up and fight for their rights and fight for their freedoms and for justice and for things to work in the country? And
Mm,
that is a mindset that is now more common and has now been adopted more um, widely within the country. So, if anything, that is a huge accomplishment, because it's easier for people to just sit
mm,
back, to be comfortable, to to think, oh, at least this is, I still, at least I have this, at least I have that. But when we all come together and realize that unless we stand up, unless we speak up and do something, nothing's gonna change. And if anything's gonna change, it's gonna change for the worse, which is what we're continuously seeing. So for that only, I feel like we've made huge strides even in the past couple of weeks, just into getting people to be more aware, to be more cognizant. We're having continuous forums such as these on X, where people are coming together to try and dissect through policies or laws or things that are being suggested in Parliament and in our spaces, which is something that wasn't happening or wasn't being attended to by thousands of Kenyans, even just as early as this year. So we're having a more politically conscious society, and that is just by virtue of us taking up to the streets and, fighting for our rights.
Wow. Oh, you're giving me chills. Somebody says, baby girls, I'm so proud of both of you. This is an example of the children leading the way. And every time I have to speak to someone from Kenya, you guys make me want to cry, and to see two beautiful young ladies here, Caswell. Caswell, is there anything that you want to say to them? As I said, they were listening to us and hearing about all the things that's happening in Barbados, and they're saying that one thing that this has done is cause people in Kenya to realize that they could speak out. What do you want to say to these young women?
No, I am so proud of them. I wish Barbados young people had half the guts, or half quarter of what the Kenyan young Gen Z people possess. There are examples. I take my, well, if I used to, I would take my hat off to them. They are inspiration. I'm so proud. When I saw what you were doing, I said, look, give some of that spirit that you have to the people that your foreparents bore and sent down to this part of the world. We've lost it.
Yeah,
so
we've definitely
keep fighting, and keep standing up. Right will always prevail. It might look daunting, but you will get there. But it must, and recruit more and more.
Yes.
The unfortunate thing is that your parents, who were brainwashed over the years, you might have to bring them along, kicking and screaming, but they will come eventually when things start to get better. Don't be daunted.
Yeah, this is great. I'm at a loss of words, because we've had, Mr. Franklin, we've had young men who have come on. This is the first time we're seeing young women. We have seen young women in the videos on the streets as well, but to see them here. But guys, this protest was not just with Kenyans in Kenya. There were Kenyans up to last week in front of the IMF, Valentine, who were demonstrating and protesting in front of the IMF. And you would have heard us talking about the IMF measures that we believe are some of the reasons why they have inflated these taxes on us in here with the land tax. And you guys were in front of the IMF in Washington demonstrating. Can you tell us why, Valentine?
Yes, the reason we were at the IMF is the IMF played a hand in pushing the finance bill of Kenya, which was the catalyst for the ongoing protests. In May of 2024, the IMF had predicted that if this finance bill was pushed, it will bring civil unrest. So obviously the IMF know what they've been doing. The IMF also has been notorious, in pushing structural adjustment programs, which, these programs, they lead to, are done by increasing taxes, reducing subsidies, and also increasing government spending, which is going to affect institutions like the health ministry and the education ministry. And then the reason this has impacted Kenya so much is Kenya has 70% of Kenya is informal. Okay, it's not a formal employment like here in developed nations. It's informal. So that means an increase in food items, staple food items like bread,
Yes.
for us young girls and women, increase in sanitary towels, increase in diapers, increase in treatments. The bill had at least 200 new proposed tax bills, including trying to see, if you had like a tea bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the tea bag, this is not a tea bag, but the tea bag and then the string, okay?
Yes.
were trying to literally find a way to tax the bag and the string. Okay.
Oh, the bag and the
Something
string.
like that. They were looking for everything they could possibly find. Wheels on wheelbarrows, everything, motorcycle, land, changing our land into leaseholds, and that is really, that would actually affected many Kenyans. And another thing they're also taxing was jobs that they did not create, which is like TikTok, YouTube. And this is what young millennials and Gen Zs, mostly in Kenya, are using to make money, because there's really no jobs out there for
Yes.
us. Yeah.
Yes. Wow. And you guys decided to take a stand for it. And every time they come on, guys, they inspire us. I hear we cry out about this land tax, that we own the land, but then we are paying taxes to use the land. It's our land. And then on top of that, they are are inflating it and doing a whole lot of issues with it, where we're being charged 300%, 200% more than what we're to charge, and telling us that it's a mistake. And we are to sit down and to take these kinds of things, Barbados. I believe this is time that we stand up as a country. We don't think about politics and which party. Stand up, man, and speak up on behalf of yourself. That's what Viviana is doing. So, Viviana, tell me, what is the Gen Z going to do now? The fact that RUTO has not been listening. I mean, he went ahead and said, oh, he was going to fire everybody, but then he's rehiring them. I thought he was going to do that. What are the next steps, you think, for Gen Zs, Viviana?
So currently, there is a call for public participation for the nominated cabinet secretaries who have been nominated by the president. And I was just in a forum earlier this evening where people were discussing. There's a lawyer who had put up a template of how to word the suggestion to recall or to just actually dismiss or reject these nominees, because they're perpetuating a kakistocracy, which is basically where the least qualified or the worst people are the ones leading this dockets in government. So we're trying to make headways legally in a lot of these ways. For example, the cabinet secretaries, but also we're still persisting with our protests. We still want to have these rogue police officers held to account. We still want all of this done, and we're using all channels, whether it is physically going to the streets still, whether it is filing petitions in court. So the fight is still alive. I will say it is getting a bit exhausting sometimes when we see things, we're taking one step forward, but the political class wants us to take 5-10 steps back. But the beauty is we are young and we are energetic, and we will find strength within each other to keep going. And that's exactly what we plan to do.
Wow, we are young, we're energetic. You heard that, Mr. Franklin, and we're going to find strength within each other to keep on going. Mr. Franklin, what do you say to these young people tonight?
No, I want to go back a little bit. You said they were the young men, but never fear. There's a saying, and it is truth. Behind every successful man is a woman, and them you have probably not seeing them up front at first, but they were there. Or the fellas wouldn't have been there. Trust me.
Yes, as Barasa told us, a lot of the young girls were saying, well, if our boyfriends are going out there to fight, we're going out there to fight. Is that true, Valentine?
Yeah. It's so interesting to see that everyone has come together. When we lose our fear, they lose their power, and that's...
Yes. Thank you. Say that again.
Hold a minute, and we got to highlight her, and she says, Barbados, listen, these little girls gonna let me cry tonight. I know they're not little girls, but really and truly, oh my God, I wish you all could come to Barbados. Say that again, darling.
When we lose our fear, they lose their power.
What does that mean to you? When we lose our fear, they lose their power.
So
Say it
that
again. Can you say it again and then tell us what it means to you?
Yes, when we lose our fear, they lose their power. That resonates with me on a personal level because over the years, I mean, I must say, the older generation have been silenced, and it was very easy to pick out those who spoke. And because of that, many people were jailed, arrested, and killed. But now that we've come together and we are fighting this headstrong, you could see during the protests people are getting shot, but we still kept moving. We've not been shaken by anybody at all. And that is something Barbados can do. That is something the Caribbean can do. That is something the whole of Africa can do. Right now, the opposition and the government are really shaken up, and because of this, they've decided to come together. So as it stands right now, we don't have quite a political opposition because the political class has sensed that there is danger and that we are not buying into their gimmicks anymore. So yeah, we keep fighting and we keep pushing headstrong. Like Viviana said, we are young and we are energetic, and we can keep doing this. It's just all we have to do is be brave. Sometimes you're scared, but then you think about your future. You think about what you've seen, what you've gone through, and it's not just a fight for us and our country. It's a fight for our children and our children's children.
Oh my Lord.
When we lose our fear, they lose their power. That is so true. It isn't funny. That is true. When they like you to be in fear, they want you to be fearful of them. You know our prime minister here, everybody's afraid of her, right? And that's the power she has over them. When she cannot frighten me, she offered me jobs. You see the difference. But for me, I don't and money. I don't know what to do with money. I'm too old for that now. So
Yes.
you see, they find one where they scare the hell out of you or they bribe you. But if you lose your fear, you're not greedy, you don't want the money, they lose their power over you. But there's
Yes.
too many people who decide that they're going relax and hope for the best, keep their heads down, and live on their knees. They exist on their knees. They exist in fear. They're fearful, and the oppressors know it, and they keep them down. All we have to do is stand up. Lose that fear, Barbados. Thank you so much, young ladies. That is not mine, but I'm going to be using it. So thank you.
The only person we should fear is God, not a human being. Your prime minister, just like Ruto, is a human being. He just have the leverage of being a president, but that's the umbrella that he's hiding on. But if he's not a president, who is he? He's a person, just like
Oh.
us, just like everybody. So
No, he's not just like you. He is corrupt.
he's very, very corrupt. I agree, very corrupt.
Listen, Mr. Franklin, and I see Senator Walters there, and I am tempted. He can give me a thumbs up and tell me on WhatsApp to tell me if he wants to come in to say a few words to these young people. But I see him listening there. He might be able to tell me if he wants to come in. But let me just say this as we're going to close, because I know we have about 4 minutes or so. And I wanted to hear your thoughts very quickly, because we're going to come back. Trust me. You guys are coming back on the show, Mr. Franklin, because I tell you, they are inspiring us. I want to ask them something. You are seeing what is happening in the US right now, and there is an election, and I know Africans are watching it, Kenyans are watching what is going on. As a Kenyan, um, tell me, what are you thinking? Because there's going to be an outcome one way or the other. Either going to be Trump or it's going to be Harris. What are Kenyans or Africans on a whole? What are your thoughts about that? Are you concerned about any kind of anyone who wins, or with the impact that might have on Kenya?
Yes, I think depending whether it's Harris or Biden, the impact on Africa is definitely very visible. And this is a very contentious issue, so I'll try to be articulate and as try to be as wise as possible while talking.
Yes.
So we have to remember that Americans' engagement with Africa, it's not new. We've seen George Bush, we've seen Obama have engaged with Africa. We've seen Joe Biden trying to re-engage Africa, and one of the things, and we've seen during Trump's era, that Trump kind of stood aside. So those are some of the things we have to consider. Trump is very I mean, Trump as a person, or him, is very isolationist, not like Bush. And what does this isolation look like? He prefers to have a transactional relationship with Africa, or not have any relationship with Africa. And by this, I mean, just like China, China is going to trade with Africa, and they're not going to try to push any agenda, or they're not going to care if Africa, Congo, there's a fight. They're just going to do what they're going to do. That's China. And that's Trump's way of doing things. Trump is also very America first, Africa last, That's why he has no problem saying Africa or the developing countries are shithole countries. But we have to think if that is a good thing or a bad thing, if there is no American involvement in Africa. Because every time Americans are involved, there's always like something sinister. Let's look at Libya. Them trying to push for democracy, it ended up with a civil war, and Libya has never been the same. The same thing is going on with Sudan, the push for taking out dictatorship, pushing for a democracy, and there is still war going on. We look at Ghana when Harris came and she threatened the Ghanaians, and she was like, if you don't accept our agenda, which is LGBTQ agenda, we are going to put sanctions. And unfortunately, unfortunately, depending on how you think of it, it pushed the Ghanaian government to put more rules on the LGBTQ, So that means also now, if America was trying to advocate for these rights, that means they have put them in danger, the LGBTQ in danger, because now they are in the public limelight, So there's nothing that they do when it's good. You look at Israel and Palestine right now with the war going on. The Democrats are always pro Black people, pro African. That's what they say. But right now, when Palestine is being butchered, they're still standing with Israel, Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, and they dismissed South Africa's petition to sue Israel on the genocide that is happening in Palestine. So we really have to think and figure out, without our feelings being involved, who is good. Do we prefer people who are isolationist, or someone who is involved in Africa with an agenda? Because right now, as it is, the foreign direct investment of US right now is at like 17 billion in Africa, and of China is like 200 billion. So China is helping to economically develop Africa without pushing the agenda, compared to America, who always want to, push for all these things. But at the same time, if you have someone like Trump, and let's say he decides to withdraw from Africa, some things may be hard. For example, in Somalia, there's the Al-Shabaab, and America and Kenya have been working together to push the Al-Shabaab out of the territory. What does that mean when United States withdraws from things like that, when aid is being cut? So these are some of the things we need to consider. I personally, and I know many people don't share the same sentiments with me, I feel that America should not be involved in Africa in whatever reason, whether good or bad, you know. And I feel that Africa is time for Africa and the Caribbean to work on themselves. You know, before America released themselves to the world, it took at least 200 years working on their economy, and now they are pushing all these neoliberal economic policies to us that are not working for Africa, that are not working for the Caribbean. They solidified their policies, their agendas, and then they started pushing them into the world. So as much as you hate Trump, and I can understand everybody's feeling, maybe just him staying away from Africa is the best thing than having Kamala. And just because she looks like us doesn't necessarily mean she has the best interests of us, you know. And having, because as much as she might not want, there's always people that are gonna, you know, push her to do things as the president. You know, she has to do what is good for the American people and what she sees fit. And I know people, and this is the thing, I might talk like this and people might think I'm a Trump supporter. I'm not. I'm just trying to think of what, or try to say what I feel is good for Africa as a continent. You know, what
Yes.
do we want? What does the Caribbean want? What is going to benefit us? Is it people coming in, giving us agendas and aid, but not economically investing in us? Or people just staying out and we figure this out? Because Africa is so capable. The Caribbean is so capable. We are very smart people, you know, and, you know, that's what I just think, you know.
Wow, that is very very deep there, Senator. I'm going to let you jump into this. I know you didn't, but I know these young people are inspiring you, at this point. But let me just go to Viviana, because I we have to go into another segment. But Lord, I'm telling you, Brother Franklin, oh God. Okay, so Viviana, what are your thoughts? These are Gen Zs, you know, Senator Ryan. But good night. But let's hear
Good night.
let's
Good night.
hear from Viviana, WAMIRU. Viviana, with these elections that's going on, what do you think? What's the best outcome you think for Kenya? You know, people are, you know, some people they want Trump, they want Harris. What do you think is the best outcome for Kenya?
I won't even talk too much because my comrade Valentine has brought a lot of insightful points to this conversation. What I'd like to really reiterate is that we as Africa, as Kenya, as the Caribbean, should clean house before we look to our richer penthouse owning neighbors. You know, when the countries in the East and the West look to Africa and the Caribbean, and when they form interactions or relationships, they have their plan for their own country's development and progression. They're coming to take resources, or the exchange is hardly ever fair. You know, they have a mastermind plan where 9 times out of 10, it is very exploitative, and it's very oppressive to most of the people who are living in these countries. And because these countries in the East and West, they don't, once they get their business and once they get their profits, they go back and develop their own countries. So we need to focus on how within our own countries, make it known to our political leaders who are going to be on these tables having discussions with these world leaders from the East and the West, that the priority is our development and our progress as Africans and as people from the Caribbean, and not to just be good, and I quote, house Negroes. You know, we're not in the business to play nice, to people please, but we're in the business to truly develop, and we have to be honest in what ways that should happen.
Wow. Well said. Well said. As you go, I will ask Mr. Senator Ryan Walters, who's an opposition senator here in Barbados, just to say a word to you two young ladies before you go. We're going into another segment, but I just feel like he has something to say.
Hi, good evening or good night to Marcia, Casual, and to our guests. Very inspiring message, I must say. I must congratulate them for not only being brave, as we would say, but they're so well researched, they're so attentive, and I think that it just brings me back to where does Barbados has to go, and our education system is lacking this type of conversation about our economy, about our people, about what we need to do as Caribbean people, African people, etc. We're more focused on these degrees and on getting a better job, but it's just scraping the surface of where as a people we need to go. And this evening, I think the young ladies here have really shown that they understand what they're talking about. They understand that when they stand up to represent themselves and the people, that is not because they want to be seen, but because of a purpose. And I think that's amazing. And I really, it's very encouraging. And I think that our young people in Barbados, I think we're distracted. I think we're distracted with the social media and all the things that are not as important as our livelihoods and the livelihoods of future generations to come. So, I congratulate them again, and I will look forward for you having them back on the show. Maybe I can interact with them more on another occasion.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Senator, for those great parting words. Let me take this opportunity just temporarily to say bye and thank you to Valentine, GITHAE, and VIVIANA, WAMIRU. And we do hope that we can have you back. I'm hoping to have an emancipation show because next week, Wednesday, is just before our Emancipation Day here in Barbados. And I would love for us to arrange something, Mr. Franklin, we can have the young people here and just from different parts of the Caribbean, different parts of Africa, talking about emancipation of the mind. And I think that is what these young ladies are talking about. And so we want to thank you for being with us here tonight. And you represented very well, very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
God
you
bless
so
you. Bye-bye. And
Bye-bye.
see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Say hi to Barasov.
I will. We will.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh my goodness. That was wonderful. That was wonderful. Mr. Franklin. Well, we have with us, I know you love Guyana, and we have with us, and I have to look to make sure because I spelled his name wrong today. And he sent me back and said, make sure. He said, you spelled my name wrong. And he was very nice about it. But he's here with us, and I'm making sure I get the right pronunciation. So bear with me. While we do that, guys, can you please share? Tonight we are going to be talking about the Public Accounts Committee, and we're going to compare and contrast what is happening in Guyana and what is happening here in Barbados, because we have a crisis on our hands, Mr. Franklin, with the Public Accounts Committee, and we need to understand what is happening because there's just so much going on. This is MP MAHIPAUL. Did I say it correctly?
Close. MAHIPAUL.
Say it again.
MAHIPAUL.
MAHIPAUL. Okay, I have to write
and
it.
And in Hindi, it means King of Kings.
Wow. My Honorable MAHIPAUL. And we have Senator Ryan Walters. That's easier for me.
Yes.
And he's an opposition senator. And we also have former Senator Caswell Franklin is with us on the program, and we call him General as well. And he knows all about the PAC. And tonight I thought, because of what we are experiencing here in Barbados, Honorable MAHIPAUL, I don't know if you know, but what's going on is that we have just only in a couple of months that we now have a formal opposition. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. And our opposition leader, he chose two senators, and one is Senator Ryan Walters, who is here with us on the program, and also Senator Tricia Watson. And Ryan is also a member, Senator Walters is also a member of the Public Accounts Committee. He was also the former vice president and candidate of the Democratic Labour Party. Okay, and you, Honorable Mai Paul, you are a member of the Public Accounts Committee of Guyana, and I thought that it would be great to have you on tonight to kind of compare notes, because we are having a situation here where we believe that the government is seeking, to dodge. They're trying to dodge the Public Accounts Committee, dodge them, and trying to really frustrate the work of the Public Accounts Committee here in Barbados. I'm gonna let Senator Ryan start off by laying it out for us exactly what is our situation in Barbados as it relates to the Public Accounts Committee and the leader of the opposition.
Yes. Good evening again. Nice to meet you, MP MAHIPAUL. Good evening. Yeah. So Marcia and listeners, we are now trying to get started with the Public Accounts Committee. And as you know, the Public Accounts Committee is really set up to scrutinize the financial expenditure of government, which is pretty much taxpayers' money. And I think where we are stuck now is that we are trying to set the agenda for what we believe the people of Barbados would want us to pursue and to investigate.
Mm-hmm.
So the first few meetings that we have, we've been looking at trying to organize the agenda of the Public Accounts Committee. And you would have heard the leader of the opposition, Mr. Rob Thorne, lament on the kind of pushback that we were getting to set our agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And it really brings into question kind of like the composition of the PAC, because we have pretty much, I think we have like 9 out of the 13 persons are government officials, either from the lower house or the Senate. We have 4 persons, which is 1 independent senator and 3 independents, the leader of the opposition and the 2 opposition senators. So, based on the composition, we'll be getting a lot of pushback because of the interpretation or the misinterpretation of the legislation, which we'll get into a little later, to allow us to set an agenda that is focused on what the opposition sees as priority on behalf of the people of Barbados. And that is pretty much where we are in a nutshell, as it relates to our first, I think we had three meetings of the Public Accounts Committee in Barbados.
Yeah. So I figured this is a very similar setup for Guyana. Obviously, I think you would have more members, in the opposition, from the opposition. So can you tell us, Senator MAHIPAUL, MP MAHIPAUL, what, describe the composition for us in Guyana?
All right. Good evening, Marcia, and it's a pleasure to be on your program. And to the 2 other guests with me here, I say good evening to you also. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And I trust that your viewership and listeners will enjoy our little dialogue as much as I expect it to be very informative. Let me begin by first saying to you that the Public Accounts Committee of Guyana has been in existence since 1957. So there is years of experience, if I may put it that way, reference to our Public Accounts Committee here in Guyana. And the composition of our Public Accounts Committee is 5 members from the government side and 4 members from the opposition side. And that is determined by the composition of our National Assembly most times. Composition of our National Assembly in the sense that our standing orders provide for there to be not more than 10 members in
Okay.
any standing committee. So our parliament has established the existence of a nine-member committee, of which five comes from from the government and four comes from the opposition. But it must be chaired by an opposition member because, as was said earlier, the intent of a public accounts committee is to scrutinize government's spending. So one guardrail that is available at our disposal is for the chairmanship to come from the opposition benches. We have had some difficulties in terms of how government in Guyana is operating with reference to the Public Accounts Committee because the intention is not for government to dominate or control that committee, even though they have that one member more. The one member more is really in keeping with the standard across the board with reference to all standing committees of our National Assembly. One problem that we have had in the most recent is where the government sought to change what is a quorum of our Public Accounts Committee. So even though you have nine members from 1957 to 2022, April 13th, it has always been any three members. Any three members can form a quorum and proceed with the business of the Public Accounts Committee. But
Yes.
on the 13th of April 2022, the government used its one seat majority in the National Assembly to change that by way of a motion. And they have changed it to now read that a quorum shall be two members from government side, two members from the opposition side, and the chairman. So, in essence, what the government did with their one seat majority in the National Assembly was to direct and dictate what should happen with reference to a quorum. And simply put, they have basically said if we don't show up as government, there can be no Public Accounts Committee. And
Wow.
that is a demolition of the guardrail that has been existing since 1957 to 2022. And that has presented a whole host of problems since that passage of that motion in 2022. I must say to you, when I say they have a one seat majority, the composition of our National Assembly is a 65 members elected National Assembly. And in the 65 members National Assembly, the government has 33 seats and the opposition has 32 seats. So that goes to show you how politically strong both government and opposition are in our country. Or I can even say it the flip way, how politically weak the government and opposition are in our country. When you are controlling the National Assembly by just one single seat, that is really control of about 7,000 votes because a seat in our National Assembly is equivalent to 70,000 votes. So if you have 50 something percent, let's say 50.6% of the electorate on your side as government, and opposition has that 49.4 percentage of the electorate, the imposition of a one seat majority is really not any kind of democracy. It is more you telling the nation that the 49.4% of the electorate has no voice because you are determining everything with a singular seat or a singular composition of how you want to decide on it. And that is what is causing the problem in Guyana with reference to its Public Accounts Committee. If I may go back to, this is the 12th parliament of our National Assembly, the 12th parliament, the 12th time we're sitting as a
Yes.
National Assembly. If you look at the way the 10th Parliament handled Public Accounts Committee and the way the 11th Parliament handled the Public Accounts Committee, it was more of an inclusive more of a togetherness, more of a harmonious relationship where they understood the reason of the Public Accounts Committee, and that is to hold accounting officers to the wheel of democracy, accountability, and transparency. But in today's Public Accounts Committee in Guyana, it is more like a political tug and war, where
Yes.
it's the blame game of blaming one regime as opposed to the other. One would recall that the opposition right now in the National Assembly, we were sitting as government in 2015 to 2020. And the government that is here now, they were sitting in government from 1992 to 2015, a 23 years period. And when you look at the Auditor General's report, the Public Accounts Committee really dive into the Auditor General's report, and the findings of the Auditor General's report is what is examined in detail so that you can get a clear picture as to what are the deficiencies, what are the anomalies, what are the discrepancies, and so on in terms of how accounting officers function. What we have in our PAC at the moment is the government side trying to blame the previous government for everything that went wrong in their report. And I wouldn't sit here and tell you that the opposition doesn't do the same when it comes to the government side, because they have 23 years behind their belt and we have 5 years behind our belt. So we there's this tug and war, which is very unfortunate. And it should not be that way.
Be that way.
It
Yeah.
really and truly should not be that way. But when it is started by one side, the other side tend to
But
react and
they
would want
react.
to counteract.
Yeah.
And what that has caused, Marcia, the precedence that we have had is that the Public Accounts Committee will reach every Monday. So we have that precedence from years back, where you have a every Monday meeting of the Public Accounts Committee for the mere purpose of ensuring you hold government accountable. But since this People's Progressive Party regime, the Irfaan Ali led administration, changed the quorum requirement in 2022, we
Mm-hmm.
have now been meeting at least once per month. And it has caused over 35 meetings to be cancelled. Now, when a government acts like that, when a government operates like that, it is a signal that they have no intention of upholding the guardrail of democracy, and they have no intention of wanting their years to be scrutinized. They want us not to examine what is plaguing Guyana currently. As I told a friend earlier, the only thing Guyana has right now in abundance, notwithstanding us being an oil producing nation, notwithstanding us collecting so much money from oil, the only thing we have in abundance right now is unfortunately corruption.
Yes. Wow. This has been very, very educational, and I know Mr. Franklin is going to jump in here any minute, but I want to go back to Senator Ryan Walters. You know what? Let me go to former Senator Caswell Franklin, because Mr. Walters went through what is really happening here in Barbados, because both governments, what they're doing is putting up some kind of something to frustrate the work of the PAC. One, in Ryan's case, in Senator Ryan's case here in Barbados, what is happening, this is my understanding, is that the government is seeking to put their hand in and create the agenda of the PAC. And here it is in Guyana, they now decide to change the quorum. So, Senator Franklin, can you give a quick comment on this? Because you would have been through all of this, and then I'm going to go back to Senator Ryan.
Yes, thank you very much. Before I do that, sir, Mr. MAHIPAUL, got that right? I want you to do me one favor. Give my regards to my favorite MP in Guyana, Comrade Coretta MacDonald. Could please do that for me.
Here I am thinking it was me. I will.
So
I most certainly will.
So please do that. I tell her we miss her on the show.
Yeah.
Right? So she can come anytime.
I most certainly will.
You know, what has happened here is to say that both Guyana and Barbados are working in like lockstep. They're doing the same things. Might be different procedures, but in the end, they don't want their ears scrutinized. And that is all it's about, because they want to carry everything back to when the other side was in power. But no, we want to know what the government is doing now. Here in that's Guyana. Here in Barbados, we're doing the same thing. They want to examine things that happened under the last administration, but they were in power now for 6 years, and they want to deal with that. So it seems that we have a kind of strategizing between the two parties, the two governments. You know that they do the same bad behaviors exist in both places. Now, the Public Accounts Committee should never have a government majority on it, simply because you should not be requiring a government to investigate itself. It is like being a judge and you are the accused. You know, so if I'm the judge and I'm the accused, I'm innocent. You know, and that is the problem. And they don't want to see that. Originally in Barbados, our Public Accounts Committee had a opposition majority. Unfortunately, now it's hard to do that because Barbadian people elected, and we have first past the post system as opposed to the proportional representation that you have in Guyana. So we can produce a parliament with no MPs from one party, you know, which does not help democracy. I didn't like proportional representation till I wasn't a fan of it until I see how they can really abuse first past the post system. And now I'm clamoring for first past for proportional representation, simply because the corruption that you're seeing in Guyana is similar. It's just different people. And when you said Irfaan Ali led administration, I smiled because he ain't leading nothing.
Yeah, but thank you, Senator, former Senator Franklin. Senator Walters, there are some issues that the public would like to be on the agenda. And I want you to go through some of them because some of them have been raised. I'm sure people have written to you guys, written to the opposition senators, to the leader of the opposition, who is the chairman of the pact. And what are some of the concerns that the public has, and the government, not wanting those concerns and issues to be on the agenda? Can you tell us?
Okay, so I think what's important here is that the Auditor General kind of sets the tone as well for the work that the PAC would do. And as you're well aware, there was a housing report. I think it was to do with the steel frame houses. And then the issue of where the government spent, I think, double what they anticipated to spend. I think they spent the equivalent of $20 million overruns, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was during the debate, there was the leader of the opposition did a tremendous section on the Hope project.
Yes.
And the $60 million that has been spent or allegedly spent on the Hope project. So that was key on the agenda of the opposition as relates to inspection and scrutinizing the funding in the housing programs of the government. Because here you have a government spending the equivalent that it budgeted in overruns in one project, housing project. Then you have a government who cannot account for $60 million in another housing project. So we thought that Barbados were asking that the housing project, Hope project, should be put on the top of the agenda on behalf of the people of Barbados. The opposition leader has also stated, and he wrote, it is in the public, that he wrote to the Auditor General requesting some priority be made on the Hope project, the medicinal marijuana project, and the Comey project, because Kensington Oval Management Inc., the $50 million that was spent for World Cup cricket, ICC cricket. So those were our three priorities.
Mhm.
But as Caswell frankly said, I mean, the government wants to go back to reports that are dated, that are before this government, in a different administration, when these reports are now before the people of Barbados, laid, and the housing project was laid this year. So those are the priorities, and we've been battling with the government because they are using section, I think it's section 6.2, to kind of set the agenda in their own way. So they're using the legislation, and if I read section 6.2, it says all questions to be decided by the committee shall be decided by a majority of the vote of the members present. So in other words, they have the majority, and if you are supposed to vote on every single question that comes, the majority will win all the time, and then the government will not be able to allow the chairman or the opposition to take the committee in the direction that it really should go, which is investigate the spending of the government.
Yeah.
So those are the priority areas there, and those are the challenges, and they'll be using subsection 6.2 to kind of guide the committee in that way.
Mhm. So one could easily deduce or say that these are it would appear. So listening, when I listen, you know, in my background in accounting, when I hear that you know there is a cost overrun in the housing department, and they don't want that on the agenda, that is something that has just occurred. When
Yes.
I hear my training in auditing, and I hear there's a $60 million. I mean, they wipe out that whole project,
The
the
fund,
money in
yeah.
that project, and we don't have any house from the whole project. When I hear about the whole medicinal marijuana, that industry, you can't see anything coming out of it. It's over 5 years and we can't see anything out of it. I mean, so much money has been spent, and the Call Me project, where we know, in looking at it, it don't seem like they spent that amount of money. It says to me, as an outsider, you are not saying it, Brian, but looking at it, to me, it seems to me that these are areas that the government, there's something wrong and they're trying to hide something. That's what it seems.
Yeah.
Because if you're not trying to hide something, why aren't we ready and willing to put it on the agenda? Because the prime minister herself said that she was going to launch an investigation into the whole project. So
Yes,
why
yes,
not
she
let
did.
us do it?
Marcia, and those three projects probably totaled very close to $140 million. Right?
140 million.
140, yeah. Yep.
Wow. Did you hear that, Barbados? We're talking about here to trying to get accountability and accounting, proper spending, what they're doing, what they're trying to do, Mr. Thorne, and along with the PAC, trying to get to the bottom of where is this $140 million medicinal marijuana, the steel frame houses, the whole project. Call me, and come on, man. Come on, man. Um, I'm going to get the name right. I'm going to get the Mahipal, Honorable Mahipal. You're hearing this, and this is Barbados. This is supposed to be your sister country. Everywhere we see your president and our prime minister arm in arm. They say that they're sister and brother, and all of these. Can you tell us what are some of the issues that Guyanese would want to see this pack, the Guyana pack deal with when you're not able to meet because they created this stupid this quorum. They've gone in and created this quorum, and now it's difficult for you all to meet. What are some of the issues you think that they're trying to sidestep or to hide from?
So when I listen to what is happening in Barbados there, I am thinking that it could very well be that indeed Mia Mottley and Irfan Ali are brothers and sisters, because what Barbados is faced
Or
with,
brother and
based on
brother.
what I heard there just now from Barbados, And what I know that is happening in Guyana, the same seems to be happening, which is government trying to run from scrutiny. And
Mm.
no government should want to do that. Any government that wants to demonstrate their degree or their ability to be honest to the people must embrace transparency, accountability, and good governance. We have situations in Guyana, or I should say, first of all, for your viewers to understand how the PAC comes into effect is every year the government presents a budget to the National Assembly, and that budget allocates funds to respective ministries, departments, and agencies. And when the money is allocated and approved by the National Assembly, the ministries, the agencies, and the departments, they have the authority to now go and spend. And when they spend, they have to spend it in keeping with what was allocated to them and in keeping with the Fiscal Management and Accountability Act of Guyana, the Stores Regulations, and the Procurement Act. And after they have completed their expenditure, the Auditor General then comes into play and he audits those expenditure. And when he audits, he will find the errors and document it into a book, which is called the Auditor General's Report for whichever year he has done the audit. And that comes to PAC, and PAC now will have to examine every finding of the Auditor General. So we will then summon the agency or the ministry or the department to appear in front of us and to answer questions based on what we have found. The problem that Guyana has is because of that quorum requirement, which
Yeah.
has caused us to so far lose about 35 meetings. We are unable to reach to the government expenditure for this government.
Mm.
From 2020 to now, we have not examined any spending of this current regime. All we have been doing is slothfully moving with the previous regime. So it kind of defeats the purpose of what PAC is about, because PAC is supposed to be examining what has happened with an intention of fixing it, so that when we produce our treasury, when we produce our report and it goes to the National Assembly and generates a treasury memorandum, it is supposed to be able to address the difficulties that we have found while examining government's expenditure. So we have accounting officers right now in Guyana who did mischief, whether knowingly or unknowingly, in 2020, belonging to the PPPC, the government that is. 2021, they repeated it. 2022, they repeated it. 2023, they repeated it. We are in 2024 right now, and they're continuing to do it. And we have not been able to examine any of their actions, whether it is in keeping with the financial laws of the country or whether they have knowingly or unknowingly broke the many financial laws of our country. And that is the dilemma we find ourselves in. And our country is right now plagued with the allegations of corruptions at all levels. We have seen, I'm not sure if your friends in Barbados saw, but the one person who seems to believe he is the most powerful in our country is the Vice President Jack Dio. And Jack Dio was, there is a video, we call it the famous Sue Gates, where a journalist from abroad came into our
Yes.
country and did an interview and was able to bring out some information that we found very appalling. And to date, no investigation can be done to ascertain whether indeed bribery and corruption exists at the level of the vice president abusing his office to satisfy friends, families, and favorites, as we claim here in Guyana they're doing. There are many corruption allegations with reference to cash grant distribution. You have the claim whereby there is no structure, there is no criteria in how they are doing the cash grant distribution. It's all about just giving out people who they claim to be supporters of the government. And what that does is that it causes one set of people to benefit and another set of people to not benefit. Again, I reiterate, our country is it is the seat of government is separated by just 7,000 votes in an electorate of over 400 plus thousand people.
Mm.
Then we have the situation of the Procurement Act being violated, where contracts are awarded but not awarded in keeping with the evaluation criteria and the recommendation for it to go to the lowest, most responsive bidder. Instead, we see people who are sympathetic to the People's Progressive Party, sympathetic to Irfaan Ali, walking along the line with Irfaan Ali whenever he goes on his usual walkabouts, as he claims. And those are the people who are enjoying the benefits of billions of dollars in contract. I hear my friend talking about a 140 or 160 million dollars thing that he is seeking to get to the bottom of. But we are in this country with a similar situation with bigger figures. We have about 6 pump stations that are under construction under the Ministry of Agriculture right now, each one valued close to $1 billion. So we're talking about between 4.5 to $6 billion that were awarded, did not complete, past the duration time it was supposed to be completed. Some are forced to be terminated because of inexperience, and we still to this day can't know what is going on with them. We have projects. If you follow our local news in Guyana, our Guyana police force, the agency that is supposed to be responsible to execute and bring people to the table and hold them to the laws of this country, is faced with massive corruption too. The corruption allegations. The Guyana police force, we see senior police officers are accused of engaging in activities that are unbecoming. But you see, Marcia, the issue is when you have politicians that are controlling, that are dominant, and are effectively corrupt individuals, then it kind of trickles down to a country where the system is not enshrined and followed. We in this country would like to see measurements of a measurement of our resources by
Mhm.
way of ensuring that there's an effective PAC, an effective Public Accounts Committee to hold government accountable. We have a project that Barbados participated in by bringing some black belly sheep in our country. I don't know if the sheep is alive or if they are alive. I don't know where they are. Nobody seems to know where the black belly sheep is. Everybody seems to believe that when Mia Mottley came the other day, all were cooked out and prepared for a good mutton curry for her. I
Or
don't know if
copper
that is
pot.
the case. But it is supposed to be a project where you're supposed to see it develop. If we got 20 black belly sheep, why don't we have 40 right now? Why don't we have 80? Why don't we have 100? We don't know how much we don't know how many we have. We don't know where they are. And we're only wondering if indeed the mutton curry was prepared for Mia Motley when she came. I can tell you there are other projects that were engaged in the giant black chicken project, and a set of things that you hear about that they make big noise about coming into Guyana, and after a couple of mornings, it is suddenly disappeared and nobody's hearing back about it. As I again say to you, the only thing in abundance in Guyana right now is corruption. And based on what I'm hearing from my friend, it seems like if that is the same in Barbados.
Same thing is happening. It's the same. You see what happened? The same thing that happened to that black belly sheep, and we're laughing, but it's really not funny, because you know what? This is something that they promised us through the Ministry of Agriculture. That thing was going to work and so on, and they stand up and said they told us that the sheep, that the black belly sheep, are still alive. When I'm inquiring, nobody in Guyana can tell me about this black belly sheep. I've been asking. I asked people to check it out for me, and I don't know. We might have to go down there with a camera or something, right? I have on here on the screen forms of corruption, bribery, lobbying, extortion, cronyism, nepotism, parochialism, patronage, influence peddling, graft and embezzlement, all kinds of different forms of corruption. Because as you were speaking, sir, I was just thinking about here the different forms of corruption, and how you were, as you were speaking, you were really talking about all different types. Now, I see Kimar has joined, but before Kimar even comes on, I'm here saying Senator Walters. I'm a person, I want results and action. Okay. There are 280,000 of us here in Barbados. Okay. And as far as I'm concerned, we make up the opposition. It's not just the opposition leader and the opposition senators, the three persons that we have there. We have, and this is just the iceberg, because if Kimar, when we let Kimar loose tonight, he's going to be able to tell us some more, because he was one of the first ones who broke the whole thing about the whole project. But with the whole project, the medicinal marijuana, and the Comey. I know Comey is about what, 50,000 US?
50 million US. 50 million Barbados. 50 million Barbados.
50 million Barbados, 25 million US. And so the agriculture then would be how much? The medicine and marijuana, how much are you querying on that?
I think they quoted about 20 million spent so far on that.
About 20 million that is spent so far. So 50 and 60, that's 110, right, Mr. Franklin? And then, okay,
Yeah.
I see where you get about the 140 million thereabout. Okay.
And there's also monies that are associated that are not lumped into these amounts, especially when it comes to the World Cup. All the spending that went on that accompanied the World Cup, but we're not part of a direct loan, but it's really coming out of taxpayers' money. And remember, there's a bigger conversation, and MP MAHIPAUL alluded to it when he made the comment about the black belly sheep. You must remember that this government, come into office, let go a slew of new taxes on Barbadians.
Yes.
We're seeing we are extracting more from persons, but yet we're not getting the benefit in the communities and in the society. We have health levy. Have you seen any improvement at the QEH? And that money is coming out of all the workers that pay national insurance every month, and is going directly to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Directly. But yet we see no improvement. So the conversation is, yes, we're identifying projects, but the bigger picture here is, how do we improve accountability and transparency? In Barbados, again, no surprise to all, has been in the media that the office of the Auditor General is understaffed. And so they do not have the full extent of the resources to do the extent of the work that they really should be doing on behalf of the people of Barbados. Right? So these are all important things. So when you're talking about budget allocation, putting money in the right places, we're spending our money the right way so that we get the best results. So that not only does accountability improve, but the standard of living improves. Because it's not about political points. This Public Accounts Committee should not be based on cheap political points of what one government has done versus the other. It should be made on what has been done that needs to be corrected so we can improve the lives of Barbadians. Because as I said, we are paying I calculated the amount of revenue, additional revenue, that this government has made since 2018 up to early this year. And it is in excess of $1 billion in additional tax revenue. Barbados, 1 billion, but yet we run a deficit of $1 billion on our revenue and expenditure every year. In other words, we have to borrow $1 billion a year. So doesn't matter what the government does, we are borrowing more, we are spending more, we are asked to pay more, but our lives are degrading. Our school plants are not upgraded.
You know, Senator Walters, I like pictures. And you see how what you just said there? I would like for you or somebody, and here am I giving the senator work to do, but somebody to put it on a graph, put it on a chart, do something and come back to the show, because what we need, we do a lot of education on here, Caswell, Mr. Franklin. And I believe that if people can see it, can see what it is, because we've got to be able to hold the government accountable. The people of Barbados need to say to them, we want to know what happened to all of this money. We have a right. Mr. Franklin, jump in there before I go to Kimar. We're going to have to go over a little bit.
No, I didn't want to say anything other than to correct the Honorable Ganesh MAHIPAUL by saying that it wasn't mutton curry, it was pepper pot.
It's pepper pot.
It had lava in it and everything, you know. So.
Listen, casual is something else. But on a serious note, this is very serious. Honorable MAHIPAUL. Let me hear Kimar Stewart here. Kimar is a researcher within the Democratic Labour Party. Kimar, what are your thoughts here about the PAC and them not wanting, for example, the Hope Project? I know you did a lot of work on the Hope Project, and that was a big issue at the budget hearing, and it I cannot believe that this would not be the first thing on the agenda at the PAC here in Barbados. What are your thoughts?
Hey, good night to everyone. Good night, Caswell, Marcia. Good night
Good night.
to Senator Walters, and good night to our brother from Guyana. Welcome to the show, and welcome to Barbados. And good night to all the members of the loyal opposition. Um, I think we understand already why the government will not want to investigate what. I think that the expose that we did on the show, along with the slides and the other facts that were posted online, was enough to convince the public as to why they wouldn't. So it doesn't make sense for them to go and investigate what they already know. Right? We know how the corruption happened. We know who were the players. We posted pictures, times, dates. We visited the site at the whole project. So all of the evidence is there already. You don't need to do anything else but to have the committee investigate and make recommendations for whoever is involved to be charged or to face court or to, whatever. But that's not going to happen. And I think that the PAC in its current structure might just be agreeing with Senator Walters. It might just be a window dressing exercise, but nevertheless, the core of public opinion
Yes.
matters more when it comes to these issues, and I think the opposition just needs to do what they can do within as much as the constitution allows, and if they do their job, then the public will follow on and do the rest.
Yes, I agree with you. We need to take this to the public. Let me ask Honorable MAHIPAUL, in Guyana, do you Kimar is suggesting that where the PAC is not working, like in your case, they are seeming to try to hijack hijack it in terms of the number of meetings and so on because of the quorum issue. Do you consider the suggestion to take the issues to the public a viable one?
Yes, of course, it is a viable one, and we have been doing that. It is viable because at the end of the day, the people of my country and similarly the people of your country, they are the ones who will have to ultimately decide on who forms the government or which political party forms the government. And they must be aware of the situation that is happening in the respective countries so that when they do make that when they do exercise that franchise to choose their government, they do it in a manner that is well informed and they are able to know definitively with a reduction in corrupt practices, obviously they can benefit more. But if they continue with the corrupt regime to continue to give them their support and their vote, then they can only expect to strengthen corruption in the respective countries by virtue, and that will lead to them not getting the maximum benefit that they're supposed to get from their government. I have always embraced the thought that a government must be servants, and servants are great leaders, and they must not be pocketing for themselves and strengthening their pockets, their families' pockets, and their friends' pockets. So, indeed, taking it to the public is one avenue, but beyond taking it to the public is also hammering home the point to the electorate for them to understand that the power really lies in the hands of you, the people, who have to make that difference. I believe, Marcia, strongly that Guyana will see a change of government in 2025 because of the abuse being meted out to our people by them not enjoying the financial benefits of the newfound wealth in our country, the oil resource that we have. And I believe that the people will sound their trumpet by way of ensuring that they vote resoundingly against this corrupt regime that we have here right now, the People's Progressive Party. I mean, look, we have moved. With the last government we had, which ended in 2020, the APNU AFC government, their largest budget that they have ever had to a citizen for one to the country for one financial year is $300 billion. $300 billion. And in fact, if you were to tally the five budgets that the AP and UAFC had from 2015 to 2020, it would give you a close to about just over $1 trillion. And from that $1 trillion, that 5 year period that accumulates to $1 trillion, we were able, the AP and UAFC were able to improve people's social well-being. They were able to give more salaries, increase salaries at a very handsomely. They were able to renovate a number of schools, rehabilitate hospitals, construct roads, do infrastructure work, see defense, invest in agriculture, and you name it. But they now we have a government who in 1 year is expending $1 billion. In 1 year, expending $1 billion, but our people are suffering with heavy cost of living. Our people are suffering because they're not getting livable wages. Our people are suffering because our housing sector is not providing quality houses and timely distribution of house lots. Our people are suffering because the cost associated with a house lot is extremely expensive. A house lot that is about 50 feet in width and 100 feet in length is about $2.6 million here in Guyana. So it is very, very costly on the ordinary, hardworking, tax-paying Guyanese, and there's only a few, perhaps 5 to 10% of friends, families, and favorites of the People's Progressive Party. And some of my friends in Guyana would say friends, families, favorites, and flatterers. And some other friends would say friends, families, favorites, flatterers, and fornicators
Yeah.
are the only set of people who are benefiting from this corrupt regime that we have in government, and that is the PPPC. I believe there is going to be a change in 2025 when our next elections are called, our regional and general elections. I can see that, I can feel it, and I can embrace it. And I think, hearing from what is being said here on this program by the Barbados representatives, I believe that they themselves are in for a change in their regime there in Barbados. But it all comes down to the population, it all comes down to the electorate, it comes down to the people who have the willpower in their hands to make that difference.
Wow. You know, Mr. Franklin, I wanted to hear your thoughts here. You know, somebody sent me about the public involving the public, and I want us to listen, Barbados, because listen, we've graduated, Mr. Franklin. We're people of action. Somebody just wrote me and said that the big up in the hospital, they're using the money to do many other things apart from helping the poor people who go into the hospital. The poor people have to bring from home toilet papers down to
That is
Pampers,
true.
and let nobody tell me that this is a lie, because I have spoken to nurses there who told me, nurses who are not from Barbados, non-Barbadian nurses who told me they have to buy Pampers for people at the geriatric hospital. You understand? This is what Honorable MAHIPAUL, this is what is happening in Barbados. Bring toilet paper right down to Pampers. Where is the money to help the hospital going into other areas? So, Mr. Franklin, what can the public do? Because I will hate to say that we have to sit down and only talk about it.
You see, but before we do that, I want to say to you that I think the focus is not to see who forms the government, the next government. It should be who increase the population at Her Majesty's Prison Dodge or New Amsterdam Prison, or whichever one in Guyana they're going to use. That should be the focus first. Then you want to find who can form the government, because these people are committing serious crimes against the people of the country, and that must be stated. That must be put out. They're not going to let people know that, look, you are there trying to buy a piece of pumpkin, and those people up there are stealing the whole field. You know, and you go to the market and buy peace, and they can't a field. You want some oil to put in your vehicle, and they give you oil well. You know, that is what people must. You got to put the things that people understand that resonate with the people, because we have formed political parties that have become tribal. So whatever happens, they're gonna vote for each other. I'm a damn and I'm a B. No, you got people PPP, people are all kind of nonsense in Ghana, but they all are Ghanaians first. Stop this until you stop this nonsense about political parties as opposed to what is right and what is wrong. We will always have these problems. So we need to put some people in jail, because if MPs outside of Barbados have gone to jail, outside of Guyana have gone to jail, what is so special about our MPs that they can do wrong, get away with it, and don't go to jail? You know, that is the focus. We must get them in jail first. I don't know if there's a possibility where the opposition could bring a private prosecution and leave it with the DPP to either discontinue it or not. And then you got news, because you said, well, we in the Public Accounts Committee discovered that these people have been stealing. The police ain't doing it, but we can bring our own prosecution.
Yeah.
In Barbados, the DPP will be able, either can take it over or discontinue it. But you got to make these people act and then show them up. That's all you got to do. Do the right thing. We got too much problems and too many people thinking my party as opposed to my country.
Yes. Well, you know, somebody says Bajan first, party second. Will we ever get there? I hear Senator Walters saying that, you know, the PAC should not be used to, you know, be saying, pointing fingers. The PAC should be used to bring accountability to whatever party, it's about our resources. It's us saying that we want to know how our resources are being used. That's what the PAC should be about, and not be about pointing fingers. I'm going to let me go to Kimar. Go ahead, Kimar. We're going to get 15 minutes, guys. If you can give it 15 more minutes, this is so good. 15 minutes, I'm begging. Okay, go ahead, Kimar.
No, the problems that both Senator Walters, Mr. Franklin, itself, and the representative from Guyana, this could all be solved. Pardon?
No, he's Ganesh MAHIPAUL.
MAHIPAUL, yes. So, MAHIPAUL, you know, we all share the same concern. Now, this could all be solved with the passage of integrity legislation and the formation of an integrity commission. Right? Now, the integrity commission has or should have authority to act regardless of the dictates of either the opposition leader or the prime minister or anybody. In Jamaica has and Integrity Commission, and right now there are 6 members of parliament who are they call them the illicit 6, who are facing illicit enrichment of themselves, and this includes members of the government and the opposition, right? Uh, it got so bad in Jamaica that this guy was even threatened, shot at, because of the leverage that they have to investigate public officials at will, right? And I heard, I think it was Marshall Cattle, who said that Barbados was not ready for Integrity Commission. That is rubbish. We should have had
I think
integrity,
Freedom of Information Act.
but we still don't have. She said freedom of information, which is directly correlated to
the integrity. Okay.
integrity legislation,
Mm-hmm.
right? So Caswell could tell us about what they did with the integrity legislation and how they are allowing our politicians to put their assets in a blind trust, right? To stop the public from seeing what they have. So if you put the integrity legislation in place, pass the freedom, because you can't pass one without the other. The Freedom of Information Act would allow us to see the public to get access to the records, right? Because there's still a high level of secrecy in the public service of Barbados. So you need that freedom of information to allow the Integrity Commission to act.
Yes.
Right? Now, if the Integrity Commission was allowed to act, an investigation would have occurred a long time into Hope, right? It would have occurred long time into Comey, because the opposition and persons like Senator Waters would have initiated and requested that investigations should have been held and provided the evidence and so, and the Integrity Commission could have gone ahead and done so. But they said they would have brought Commission within 100 days when they got into office. They bundled the first one, and then they tried to pass the second mock-up one when they got pressure. And if, Marcia, we could have had an Integrity Commission with persons like Mr. Franklin, some person from ICAB, some person from the Bar Association, a member of the clergy, like how you do open juries at court.
Right.
Right? And allow people to do the investigation independent of these political figures. I think Barbados would change, and I think Guyana would change if they follow that example too.
You see, the only problem is that we have integrity legislation on the books, just not enforced. They have passed it, but they have not brought it into force. So you still can't do anything with them. These people, I remember I was in the Senate when they tried passing the first one. They tell them, look, you're not going to pass this because you're not going to let it pass because you got to get rich first. And only when you fellas get rich will this come to be. And my words have not fallen. They're getting rich, and there's no integrity legislation to hold them to account. And even Kimar mentioned it just now, the blind trust. I give up all of my objections to the bill. It's got a lot of flaws in it. I said, well, I will give up all of my objections to that bill if you remove the requirement for the possibility that it can have a blind trust. Now, all the things I was complaining about, I said, no, I will withdraw all of those. Just don't put any blind trust. Everybody wants, they start setting up blind trusts already. But blind trust was unknown to our laws in Barbados prior to the passage or to the introduction of that bill. We had no such thing in Barbados before, What a blind trust is that you are going to be able to secrete your money away from scrutiny. And unfortunately, there's a provision in the same legislation that says that the Integrity Commission could require you to put your money into a blind trust.
Okay.
Or put your assets into a blind trust. So the bill itself is a mockery. It's a mockery. We don't want accountability, and we don't want public accounts committees here or in Guyana because people will go to jail.
They don't want any accountability. Well, we are at the basically at the end of the program. As you can tell, Senator Ryan, it's a big issue that we have to go into a lot more. I would love for us to begin to put out some little, publications, little flyer or poster, just with the basic information to the public. But I'm going to ask you, I'm going to give the final words to both Senator Ryan and Honorable MAHIPAUL. I got it. I got it. Senator Walters, what do you want to say to the Barbadian public tonight before we close?
Well, first of all, thanks for the opportunity for having me, Marcia. It is an important topic, something that I've been exposed to for just a few months. What I want to say, though, is that I think the people of Barbados are tired of this political roller coaster. I saw a question there posed to me that I didn't get a chance to answer, to respond to, and it was worded the government, but it should be worded the governments, because this is not a BLP versus DLP issue. This is an accountability issue on behalf of the taxpayers of this country. For too long, we have seen misuse and misappropriation of funds. I use the better words than Casual or yourself, not corruption, but the misappropriation of funds. And Barbadians are tired of it. Taxpayers are bleeding as it relates to the amount of taxes they pay, the amount of money they are asked to commit to the treasury for it to be misappropriated. And we need these issues to go away. How do we get it? How do they go away? That is where the conversation needs to be. Casual made a very important point at the beginning. There's no way that any public accounts committee should be chaired or should have a majority of the government. Not when its focus is to scrutinize the government spending. So, and then Kimar even alluded to the fact that we need expansion of persons and involvement, because there's too much politics in everything. You have a government and an opposition, and then you have maybe one or two independents. But there are professional bodies that can get involved, and although some people might be politically inclined, the national duty, the perspective could be different. We have a bar association, we have accounting organizations, we have the clergy, and these persons will bring a different perspective if they are included. Bajans will feel comfortable if they're included, because then it is not a partisan issue. It is not I saying, let's go after these issues because I am not the government. And then the government of the day, when they become opposition, let's go after these issues because I am not the government anymore. So then you start to get some accountability. Secondly, we are not spending our money appropriately. Why can we not fix the office of the Auditor General? We have an unemployment issue in Barbados. Am I to believe that there are not young people that want to work, or that we cannot pay them a little more to come and work, do this good work on behalf of the people of Barbados? Why are we not fixing the issue of resources? Why do we have to wait 3 or 6 months as a public accounts committee to get a report on the table for something that has been happening? Why do we have to see an annual report but then question what next? Because for some reason or another, we don't have a majority, so we can't get things on the agenda. The Auditor General doesn't have the resources, so we can't get the reports done. But all this time, the governments are abusing, and we say in this case, the Barbados Party government is abusing the treasury. I spoke last week at the press conference about $1.3 billion borrowed for climate financing. I spoke about the $1 billion raised over the last 5 years in new taxes. So we need to get to the bottom of this, because it is painful. It is painful, and taxpayers can only bear so much. We will get to a stage where it will not be nice in Barbados. And I know a lot of people say it, but I don't think we really want to experience it. There's too much hardship there, and there's no accountability. And I don't think that people have any hope in the political landscape because of these type of things. So I mean, my word here, my takeaway here tonight, my party words is that let's fix these issues because they transcend political parties. And we need to get it right, because it is a substantial amount of misappropriation of government funds, as we've seen in the last few years, as we've seen in the majority government. And we do not want this to continue on behalf of the taxpayers.
Wow. Very well said. Very well said, Senator Walters. You see, we don't have enough time. That's why I go. I'm gonna have to call you to come back because we got educated tonight. That's the thing. Let's hear Honorable Mai Paul give us the final word of this evening before we close.
I am very appreciative of the fact that technology has allowed us to communicate here tonight. And I've learned a lot as to what is happening in Barbados. And I don't know if it's fortunately or unfortunately, but it's no different in terms of Guyana when it comes to accountability, transparency, and good governance. Clearly, both countries are suffering at the hands of regimes that seems to not care for good governance, accountability, and transparency. And what I have taken away here is the fact that with the introduction of technology at a broader scale, ordinary citizens both in Guyana and Barbados, or even by extension the world to which your program is reaching, Marcia, people are becoming more sensitized. They are becoming more educated, and information is being disseminated on a broader scale for them to make the right decisions. And that is what is going to be important, both at the level of Barbados and Guyana in future elections. People must be able to hold their elected officials accountable for their actions. In Guyana, I don't want, even though I'm associated to the APNU AFC, I don't want my electorate to judge me as an individual based on the performance of previous office holders within the same political party. The object may be the political party to which we align ourselves with, and the principles and the overarching objectives and beliefs. But at the end of the day, each individual has their own brain, and each individual has their own actions to answer for. So I have been telling the people of Guyana, judge me for me. Judge me for what I do. And I have always held to the principle that a good leader is a great servant. And I believe that if individuals are given opportunities to serve, they must serve. And if they fail to serve, then they must be held accountable. I believe also strongly that, as I said earlier, a change is coming Guyana's way. A change is coming for the better, in my view. And a change is coming to get rid of a regime that is really doing every possible act of corruption on the table. And they're exposing themselves for people to see. And for some strange reason, it's like as though they cannot help themselves. I hope, and I'm of the profound view here that your viewership is a majority of Barbadians. I hope the Barbados community recognizes that when people can speak so eloquently and confidently about what is happening in their respective countries in terms of unaccountability, discrepancies, and all the other bad words that can link to bad governance, it therefore requires them putting their feet down. The electorate, the people putting their feet down. The strength of a country lies in its people. And if people are going to sit idly by and know of all of these corrupt practices and do nothing about it, then they will continue to suffer in their own lands and sometimes become second class citizens to people who are favored more than them. The majority must speak. The majority must say what they have to say and say it with confidence. Marcia, I want to thank you very much for this opportunity to be on your program. I want to thank also Mr. Franklin, former senator, and current senator, Senator Walters, and Kimar for sharing their thoughts and for basically educating me on what is happening in Barbados as much as I would have attempted to educate on what is happening in Guyana. It was a very pleasant moment for me learning all of this. It was very unfortunate that I had to hear about the corrupt practices in Barbados just as much as they may have had to heard about the corrupt practices in Guyana. But I look forward to joining you more often and to be a part of your program in the future. I also would like to end by saying to you that it's okay for you to share my number with the other guests that we have here so that we can build a further relationship, understand the whole association, and network basically so that we can share information in the interest of our common good, which is to ensure that we hold our respective governments accountable with the intent of replacing them with more trustworthy people. Thank you very much.
Very well said. Very well said, Honorable MAHIPAUL. And I mean, we are pushing here Caribbean solidarity. And I'm very serious about this. This is one, we're going to hold it. We're going to hold on to it. And listen, but at the end of it, we're going to find them black belly sheep. But let me just thank you all for being on the show tonight. It's been very educational. It's my first time back in a week, and I'm enjoying it so much, Mr. Franklin. Thank you for coming on. Good to see you, and what you had to share tonight. I learned so much from you tonight, and I thank you. I thank you, Kimar, for coming on. I know you didn't make your 8 o'clock, but you tried your best to be on. And of course, Senator Walters. I mean, it's the longest we've spoken, and very articulate. And I love your stance on the issues. I love it. And Mr. Honorable MAHIPAUL. Oh my goodness, you're an orator. Thank you so much. Tomorrow is our Lime. And our Lime, we have a Lime is happening, Senator Walters, right there at the DLP headquarters. And when we say our Lime, what I mean, because people, they say they try to say I'm DLP. When I say our Lime, one of the persons that help us a lot, a lovely man, Oswald Newton, he got sick. Well, he fell off. He was working, and he fell off a building, and that was in the hospital for quite some time. He is an ardent supporter of the loyal opposition at roadside parliament. He's at marches. He gives financially to everything that we're doing. Now it's our time to give to him, and it's going to be tomorrow between 2 and 9 p.m. at the George Street Auditorium. We are not putting it on. This is being put on by Kimar Stewart, who is in the St. John constituency. But Oswald Newton is our guy, is us. And so we are supporting Oswald Newton. All right. So I will be there to buy some fish. And if you want to take a picture and say, I am a DLP, you do whatever you want to do. I go in there to support Oswald Newton at the George Street Auditorium, which anybody can rent and use, by the way. So we are going to be there tomorrow. But and so I see you tomorrow between 2 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Kimar, the people say they want festivals. I don't know how that is going to work out, but we will chat off. Oh my lordy, we will chat. But great initiative, Kimar. Keep going. We support you and support all that's happening for Oswald Newton. Tomorrow, come eat some fish and laugh and have a good time. All right?
Sauce?
Any sauce, Kimar? Any sauce?
Unfortunately not.
Oh, Lord. I still coming though. I still coming.
Yeah, we got some fish kit. We got some nice fish kits for you.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. God bless you. And I know I dare not
Thank
touch
you.
that stream button without hearing the songs that we have to play. So let me leave that alone. Go ahead, Dave.
That maths nor English, 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 English. Pretending to be good, I pretending to be good, just pretending to be good. I pretending to be good, I just pretending to care about people. 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 Pretending, and I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. I'm pretending to be good. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people.
Care about people.
us a better tomorrow. Tell me that the suffering done. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me a take the vote and let me down. She did only want little dealing, big contracts and not corruption. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me a take the vote and let me down. Barbados is too small for me. My pocket full, now you and job they promise me. And a girl like me want power and more money. You cry transparency, but that's a no for me. Promise us a better tomorrow. Tell me that the suffering done. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me a take the vote and let me down. She did only want little dealing, big contracts and not corruption. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me a take the vote and let me down.
Right.
Right. Good night.
Good night. Good night. Good
Good
night,
night.
everybody. So see you all. God bless. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, Mary was saying, like, today I asked my secretary, because I had meetings all